What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 9BS 181. 9 shadows falling from the sky? No, it's a marine fleet descending from the sky. Attack. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sengoku, Wano-kuni is in front of you. This must be your first time here. Zephyr sighed and said, haha, this must be your first time too. Sengoku smiled. It's really embarrassing to say. As Marines, they actually have territories that Marines have not set foot on. It's really embarrassing to say this, but there is no way. Who told Wano-kuni to remain closed door to the country? I couldn't come even if I wanted to. Moreover, the geographical conditions of Wano-kuni are easy to defend and difficult to attack. If it were not for Fujitora this time, it would not be easy for their marine ship to get up. At this moment, everyone is looking at the bustling scene below. And the smoke coming out of various chimneys not far away. The two are only 100 meters apart, but it formed a sharp contrast. It's prosperous here, but other places are in chaos. Is this Wano-kuni? How so? Sengoku and Zephyr couldn't help but sigh. The current scene is really a lesson for archers in their lives. Why can the same country be so different? What's going on here? At this moment, Marine's ship is flying in the air, so it overlooks the entire city from a high position. Everything can be seen at a glance. This false prosperity can be seen at a glance from the air. You may be confused when you are in it, but when you look at it from a high altitude, you can see everything. This city is really sick. Is this Wano-kuni? The bustling place below should be their capital? Kizaru touched his chin, tilted his mouth, leaned on the railing, looked down and said, HMPH, what a paradise and hell on earth. Advertisement. Akainu snorted coldly. Based on their Marine Admirals' experience, even if they don't know what is going on below, they can still guess something. So I will be even more angry. Fujitora came over and said in a deep voice. Although I can't see, I still feel the suffering of the people below. Their mood is black. Fujitora frowned, and it was easy to tell that there was anger in his tone. Is it because of Kaido that this place has become like this? Tashigi said with some discomfort. It was easier for her to sympathize with these ordinary people. Stussy shook her head. No, Kaido only plays a small part. The real villain of Wano-kuni is a man named Kurozumi, who turned Wano-kuni into this state. As a CPO, I have dealt with Kurozumi many times, so she knows everything about Kazumi quite well. Ron looked at the scene below and couldn't help but shook his head. As the largest weapons manufacturer, Wano-kuni possesses the most advanced cold weapon manufacturing technology. This is indeed a relatively important place for Marine. The same goes for world government. Otherwise, the five elders would not have secretly traded with Wano-kuni. The purpose is to import weapons from here, so. Ron didn't want Wano-kuni to be in turmoil. This is indeed not a good thing for him. Ron needs a stable weapons supplier. This is also the purpose of Wano-kuni's existence. That being the case, Ron must intervene here and turn it into a stable weapons-producing country. Providing weapons to the world government and Marine. Ron doesn't want to hand this place over to Kurozumi, nor does he want to hand it over to Momonosuke, but it seems that Momonosuke has not traveled through time at this time. It's best to have Marine in charge here. After all, Ron plans to control weapons. The free circulation of weapons on the sea is prohibited. This is Ron's final step to return the sea to peace. After all the pirates are eliminated, we will start to control weapons. Advertisement. This is one of the reasons why Ron started recruiting. Currently, Marine's military strength is actually very small. Not enough to cover every island. So there will be a large-scale recruitment, and Ron plans to arrange a Marine office on every island. The garrison ranges from 100 to 1,000 people. On the one hand, it can stabilize peace, but on the other hand, it involves Chuan-en's second plan. Control of weapons. Implement a nationwide reporting system, and those who voluntarily surrender weapons can be exempted from punishment. If someone is reported, he will be fined heavily, and the money from the fine can be rewarded to the whistleblower. This can form a virtuous cycle. Everyone is encouraged to report. Coupled with the Marine office stationed on the island, weapons can be effectively cleared and whistleblowers can be protected. Provide a good guarantee for the reporting system. In this case, according to Ron's estimation, 99% of the weapons on the market can be eliminated in less than a year. Without weapons, the safety of residents is fully guaranteed. It also greatly curbed the birth of pirates. *******0. Therefore, for this largest weapons manufacturing country, Ron must control it under Marine. Prevent the leakage of weapons. From now on, the weapons they create can only be used by the world government and Marine. Ron looked at the bustling flower city below. Suddenly he waved his hand. Ordered immediately. Fujitora, land. Yes, of course Fujitora understood what Ron meant. The warship's gravity is restored little by little. They seem to be falling in the Flower City, but no one knows what Tinluo 9 Shadows is. Damn it. Why is the warship in the sky? Kazuki Hiyori not far away also saw this scene. Advertisement, but I haven't seen you after waiting for almost 20 years. Come quickly. Protect Lord Kurozumi Orochi, that is the 9 Shadows of Tinluo. Quick. Run. They all looked at the warships falling from the sky with different expressions. The big snake Kurozumi was so frightened that its other head stuck out. She had been planning on secretly searching for Marine. Started running around. This scene confused him. And at the same time, I still haven't figured out why Marine appears here. But first saw the Marine fleet descending from the sky. They will be the chosen ones to save Wano Kuni. Damn it, it's really in the world. Proceed to the descent slowly. When the people of the entire Flower City saw this scene, they were all shocked and began to open their mouths. For a moment, everyone gathered around Kurozumi building. But what she never expected was that Marine would enter hockey in this way. Kurozumi Orochi's mansion fell into turmoil. All the flower capital, no, all the people of Wano Kuni, although they did not see the 9 shadows of Skyfall. What is this? Look at the sky, there are many ships. Shouldn't they be fighting Kaido at the waterfall? How come they're here? At the same time. Are you kidding? How can the boat be in the sky? If the boat can be in the sky, I will. A total of 70 warships began to sink gradually emerging from the clouds. In an instant, the originally bustling flower capital immediately became panicked. But at this moment, isn't this 8 times more handsome than the 9 shadows of Tinluo? There is a legend that has been circulating in Wano Kuni. 182. Momonosuke is not worthy of being an admiral, Marine takes over Wano Kuni. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Kurozumi saw Marine's ship falling. He couldn't help but frowned. He really didn't understand why Marine was here. But now is obviously not the time to consider this issue. He had to figure out what Marine was doing here. At this time, Fu Lusho, the guard on the side, said, Kurozumi-sama, the situation in front of us doesn't seem to be favorable to us. Isn't Marine here to cause trouble for us? These guys can't beat Kaido, so they're here to bully us? Kurozumi shook his head and said, it's impossible, they definitely didn't come here to target us. After all, we are the legitimate political power of the country. It is an official organization. It's not the so-called pirates. Don't forget, we have never been pirates. We have never been pirates at all. So Marine will not do anything to us anyway. This is Marine's principle and bottom line. They can't even abandon their principle. Boom. 447. Just when they were discussing with each other. 70 warships fell from the sky. There was a bang. Suddenly a large amount of smoke appeared on the entire ground. After a while, the outer wheels of all warships began to drive simultaneously. Just like a car walking on the ground. There are 4 wheels carrying the warship and setting off towards the front. The warship instantly became a chariot. 70 huge tanks traveled on land. Make a rumbling sound. The whole ground shook. Full of oppression. And this large formation instantly attracted all Wanakuna's situation. Quick, let's all go to the flower capital to see what's going on. It is said that Marine is here, although I don't know what they're here for, we still go and take a look. Hurry up. Something big is going to happen in the flower capital. Everyone, follow up. In an instant, everyone around them rushed towards the flower capital. Advertisement. Everyone wants to know what happened. I also want to know what exactly Marine is doing here. After all, the whole Wano Kuni has never seen such a big posture. This is really scary, so, it aroused everyone's curiosity even more. Countless people flocked to it. Originally, Wano Kuni was under the care of others, and it was difficult for people from different places to go to other places. But now the people responsible for the care have been transferred by Kaido to guard the waterfall. So, the people here gained a brief period of freedom. They also took advantage of this opportunity. They all rushed towards the flower capital. After all, only the Flower City can be called a place where normal people live. At this moment, the warship is less than 5 kilometers away from the flower capital. At this rate, it only takes 5 minutes, you can reach the flower capital. At this time, suddenly a woman blocks you in front of the road. Blocking the way of the warship. Who is this guy? What is she doing? Kizaru touched his chin and thought with a crooked mouth. What should we do? Should we stop? Aokiji asked. HMPH. We must not stop. The one who stopped us at this time is an enemy at first glance. She must be with the big snake. We can just drive the boat over and run over her. Akainu snorted coldly. Said ruthlessly, Akainu, don't be too extreme. Don't make rash decisions based on your own prejudices before you understand the cause of the matter. Ron's voice was a bit thick and he criticized harshly. Ahem. Akainu coughed twice awkwardly. Stop. Ron waved his hand. All 70 warships stopped. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Kazuki Hiyori clutched her chest and gasped violently. Fortunately, the warship stopped. At this moment, he was only a few meters away from her. Advertisement, bring her up, Ron said to Dusky. After a while, Kazuki Hiyori was brought aboard the Pluton. Standing in front of Ron, the 5 Marine Admirals and Sengoku are all here. Of course they don't know Kazuki Hiyori's true identity. So I don't know what is going on in front of me. Ron revealed this woman's identity as soon as he opened his mouth. Kazuki Hiyori, what are you doing here? Kazuki Hiyori was stunned for a moment when he heard the bald Inspector General calling his name. Because few people know her true identity, her name here is Xiaozi. The only one who knows his identity now is Kwang Shilong, but he will never reveal his identity. So, how did the man in front of me know that? You. How do you know my name? Kazuki Hiyori said incredulously. Yes, how did you know? Sengoku and Zephyr also looked at each other. It was obviously Ron's first time to come to this place, just like them, but why did Ron know so much about this place? Whenever you meet a woman, you know her name. This is so strange. Not only do I know your name, I also know that you are Kazuki Oden's daughter, so let's not waste time and just tell us what you are here for. Ron said straight to the point. See? Kazuki Hiyori originally thought about how to hide his identity, but he never expected that the other party would see through it at a glance. Not only does he know his name, he also knows his origins. This is really incredible. Now that you know everything, I won't hide it anymore. Yes, I am the daughter of Wano-kuni Daimyo Kazuki Oden, and the granddaughter of General Wano-kuni Kazuki Sukiyaki. See, hearing this, Sengoku and others couldn't help but take a breath. From the beginning, they felt that the surname Kazuki was familiar. I always feel like I've heard it somewhere. It turns out to be the surname of the person in charge of Wano-kuni. So what are you here for? Sengoku asked. I beg you to save Wano-kuni. So, Kazuki Hiyori told all the causes and consequences of Wano-kuni at a very fast speed. Even though Ron knew it, he didn't stop Kazuki Hiyori. Advertisement let her tell it once, saving you the trouble of repeating it yourself later. After listening, everyone present was angry. It's okay to help you. However, from now on, Wano-kuni must be handed over to Marine Headquarters to take over. Ron said word for word. This? Kazuki Hiyori couldn't help but take a few steps back after hearing this. But Wano-kuna's general is destined to be my brother, Hikaru Momonosuke. Although he hasn't appeared yet, I believe he will come back. Kazuki Hiyori can't make up her mind. Ron shook his head. Then just wait here for that loser. Think about it for yourself. Do you want Wano-kuni, or do you want the residents of Wano-kuni to live under the sun and regain their freedom? Ron gave the choice to Kazuki Hiyori. Kazuki Hiyori thought for a moment. Only then did I finally make up my mind. Okay, I promise you, as long as you can ensure that the residents of Wano-kuni are no longer oppressed, then it doesn't matter who becomes the general. Because Kazuki Hiyori is not sure whether Momonosuke can come back. If he can't come back and he misses this opportunity again, then Wano-kuni will have no hope. She has lived here for so many years and has seen firsthand the suffering of Wano-kuni residents. 2.7 Kazuki Hiyori really doesn't want these people to suffer anymore. Okay. Ron patted Kazuki Hiyori on the shoulder. Subsequently, directly ordered to 70 warships. Push forward, rush into Orochi's mansion, and destroy all Kurozumi's forces. Now, looking at the advancing warships, they seem to have no intention of stopping. Kurozumi and the big snake were stunned, jumped to the roof immediately. Shouted to the warship, "What are you doing? I am Wano-kuna's Admiral Army. You guys stop it quickly, further forward is my mansion. Are you crazy? Call your leader out. The ones to be killed are the Wano-kuni Admiral Army? Ron, you didn't even show your face, you just gave the order. Run it right over, and now at the edge of the waterfall." Kaido didn't know that Marine had come up a long time ago and was still waiting here. 183. Food chain. Marine less than government less than 5 elders less than I am less than Ron. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement Kurozumi and the big snake were stunned. This Marine is completely unreasonable. Have they forgotten their own principles? He is the legitimate political power of a country. How could Marine launch an attack on him? He really couldn't understand. Logically speaking, Marine cannot know what happened 20 years ago. Because everyone in the Kazuki clan is dead, the truth has long been buried. Marine has no reason to take action against him. Besides, the world government has made a deal with him. If they kill him, wouldn't they kill the goose that lays the egg? But no matter how Kurozumi shouted, the other party seemed to have no intention of stopping. Seeing 70 warships overwhelming, push flat all the way. The city wall of the Flower City was directly razed to the ground. It drove in like a tank. This posture is really terrifying. Because they have never been to the sea, they have never seen warships at sea, let alone warships on land. Bang bang bang. Crush all the way. Any defensive measures are not of concern in the eyes of warships, and they are knocked down all the way. What are you still doing? Stop them, 15. Hurry up. Kurozumi's expression became more and more frightened, and he immediately said hysterically. Yes. The ninja escort under his command rushed towards the warship desperately. But there are so few manpower. How could it be possible that these 70 warships and more than 70,000 people could be the opponent? With a scream, Kurozumi Orochi's men suffered numerous casualties. Advertisement, but there was still no way to stop the warship from advancing even a hair. Less than 10 minutes. The warship had already entered the Flower City and arrived in front of Kurozumi Orochi's mansion. He directly smashed the door of the mansion and crushed it. Then all the warships stopped. The few remaining troops of Kurozumi Orochi tried their best to protect Kurozumi Orochi behind them. Wait a moment. Do you really not know who I am? Hurry up and call your person in charge out. I want to talk to him face to face. Kurozumi saw the warship stop and said immediately. Afraid that it would be too late, the warship continued to push forward. You must be Kurozumi Orochi. Sengoku walked slowly to the edge of the deck and spoke condescendingly. Marshal Sengoku? I didn't expect you to lead the team yourself? Kurozumi said in disbelief. Tell me, do you have any last words? Sengoku frowned. I think you have misunderstood. I am Kurozumi, not Kaido of the Beasts, and I am not a pirate. Aren't you here to catch Kaido of the Beasts? Then go find him. Why are you coming at me? I am Wanokuna's Admiral Army. Kurozumi immediately revealed his identity. Yes, we are looking for Kurozumi. As for Kaido of the Beasts, we will talk about it later. Sengoku said coldly. What? Kurozumi looked incredulous. When did you provoke Marine? Did you even listen to me? Don't forget the cooperative relationship between world government and me. If you deal with me like this, you won't be able to buy weapons from me in the future. Let's see how the 5 elders deal with you. Aren't you going to give the 5 elders face too? Kurozumi can't control much anymore, even the 5 elders have moved out. After all, he knew that Marine was affiliated with the world government, and the 5 elders were the top leaders of the world government. When Marine's interests conflict with those of the world government, that must be based on the interests of the world government. Advertisement Kurozumi still understands this. That's why he moved 5 elders out. Sengoku glanced at Ron next to him, and then said to Kurozumi. I'm afraid I'm sorry this time, 5 elders' reputation is really hard to come by this time. Sengoku also understands that Marine is indeed controlled by the world government. When there is a conflict between the two, the world government will definitely take precedence. But the 5 elders are controlled by Ron. When the interests of the 5 elders and Ron's interests conflict, there is no doubt that Lon will take precedence. And Ron is now at Marine again, so at this time, the 5 elders can't control Marine. No way, who made the top of the food chain now be Marine? Kurozumi, the big snake, heard Sengoku's words. He couldn't help but frowned. Are you kidding? Are you Marine going to rebel? I want to talk to the 5 elders? There must be some misunderstanding. I will talk to the 5 elders personally. Kurozumi thinks he has control over the needs of the world government. After all, here are the weapons they need most, so as long as he gives in, the 5 elders will definitely give him face. After all, in the previous transactions, no matter how tough their attitude towards the world government was, they had to cooperate with them in a humble manner. This is the capital to master core technology. No, 5 elders don't dare to answer your call now. Stussy suddenly came out and said, Is it you? That female CPO? Although the CPO always wore a mask when he came to negotiate with the government. But with this voice, I can still hear it. HMPH, how could you not answer my call? No wonder everyone, including Sengoku and others, glanced at this man before speaking. I believe it this time. Ron shook his head. Kurozumi immediately said to Ron, just a few months ago, the world government guys were begging to purchase their own weapons. Advertisement, it turns out that he is the one in charge. Only then did I notice Ron. Kizaru touched his face. Fortunately, his face looked obscene and not disgusting. Why aren't you even answering the phone now? We can discuss anything. Don't you just want weapons? I promise to sell them to you at the lowest price in the future. Call again. He actually turned sideways. Yes. Why? Kurozumi asked unwillingly. Stussy smiled and said, how could the 5 elders still contact someone who was targeted by Lord Ron? Unexpectedly, the call was hung up after just 2 rings. The dark snake said in disbelief. The Inspector General came to your door in person. At this time, it's too late for the 5 elders to cut off their relationship with you. How can they answer your call? Then he immediately rushed forward. Still no one answered, and after a few rings, the call was hung up again. Kurozumi didn't believe it at all and immediately took out a special phone bug. Then he called 5 elders. They wouldn't be stupid enough to have anything to do with you now. Kurozumi immediately turned his attention to the bald man next to him. How can this be? Who wouldn't want to avoid the people targeted by the Inspector General? Inspector General? Ron said with disgust without even looking at Kurozumi Orochi. Kizaru, Go and kill it quickly, I don't want to see this disgusting face. Naive, why spend money when you can get it for free? Kurozumi's old face darkened. I have a bad feeling in my heart. But this man didn't even look at himself. Stussy 347 sighed and said disdainfully. 184. Are you still guarding the waterfall? Kaido discovers that his hometown has been occupied by Marine. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, hateful. Don't think I'm a soft persimmon. Kurozumi, the big snake, looks at the opponent and is indifferent. Already furious now, he gritted his teeth and said fiercely. F*K them all, however, but he doesn't just charge forward with his men. Instead, he ordered these men to sprint to the rear. All the Wano Kuni civilians who were watching were captured. Because there are many people watching, the excitement gathered around. So the capture was very fast. In less than a minute, more than 1,000 civilians were arrested. Let me go quickly. Why are you arresting us? We didn't make any mistakes, we just came here to take a look. Kurozumi-sama, please let us go quickly. We promise we will never dare to do it again, and we will leave here right now. These civilians who were suddenly captured were all panicking at this moment. Because they can feel the cold knife on their necks. The biting cold penetrated their skin, making them tremble all over. These guys have never seen this situation before. At this moment, my legs were shaking with fear. However, Kurozumi ignored them. Instead, he waved his hand. Let his men put them all in front, forming a row of human walls. A human wall of innocent citizens, blocking Marine. If Marine charges forward again, he will definitely kill these ordinary civilians first. This is the plan of Kurozumi Orochi. He didn't believe that these Marines would justly massacre civilians. As long as there are these human shields in front. Then he's not afraid of Marine. Aren't these guys pretending to be just? Since this is just right, let's see how you catch me this time. Thinking of this, Kurozumi couldn't help but sneer. It is too easy to deal with this group of people who claim to be righteous. Just find random hostages to control these stupid people. This method is not the first time Montenegro Orochi has used it. Advertisement as early as 20 years ago, he used this method, threatened Kazuki Oden. The result was a success. Not only did it ruin Kazuki Oden's reputation, but it also indirectly killed him, and secured the position of the Wano Kuni Admiral Army. So this move is very familiar to Kurozumi. Now he plans to replicate this method again. This method is definitely useless against someone like Kaido. Because they will never take into account civilian casualties. But when used against self-proclaimed righteous people like Marine and Kazuki Oden, it's almost always tried and true. These hypocritical guys must have surrendered in order to save face in exchange for the personal freedom of these ordinary people. Kurozumi really knows this kind of person very well. At this moment, Kurozumi said in a sinister tone. "Oh 9. You Marines dare to take another step forward. Don't blame me for killing them directly. Aren't you Marines supposed to protect ordinary people? If these people die, it is entirely because of you, and you are responsible for their deaths. HMPH, if you don't want them to die, then retreat quickly." Kurozumi is very proud of the snake, because he found that when he blocked these ordinary people in front, all the Marine ships really stopped. The Marine soldiers who were charging forward also stopped. This method really works. Ha 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 ha, Kurozumi couldn't help laughing. He wants to see what these hypocritical Marines are going to do. At this time, Sengoku frowned. He never expected that this Kurozumi snake would be so despicable and shameless. He actually used innocent people as a shield. What should we do now? If they block these ordinary people in front, we will have no way to attack. Do you really want to leave here? He would definitely not be willing to let Sengoku leave now. Because after seeing Kurozumi's shamelessness, Sengoku couldn't wait to kill him. So now he can only ask Ron. Let's see if Ron can do anything. Aokiji, are you sure you can freeze everyone here instantly? Why question? Aokiji nodded. Aokiji can freeze a person with Doflamingo's strength in an instant, let alone these ordinary ninjas. Advertisement. Although they are said to be Orochi's guardians, they are not as strong as Doflamingo. Kizaru, you subdue Orochi as quickly as possible. As long as you control him, those subordinates will not dare to take action. To be on the safe side, Ron did both at once. Then Aokiji and Kizaru jumped from the ship. Kurozumi, the big snake, frowned. He suddenly spoke. I advise you not to play any tricks, otherwise I will give you an order. Kurozumi just said this. Suddenly I found that the whole earth was frozen. The ice spreads extremely quickly. In an instant, it covered the soles of all his guards. Then it is directly transmitted from the soles of the feet to the body. Almost instantly, all his guards were frozen into ice. And the control is extremely precise. There was nothing wrong with the innocent citizens who were held hostage by them. Looking at the people behind him being frozen into ice. At this moment they couldn't help but shudder. I saw that I was saved. Started to run away. While escaping, I didn't forget to thank Marine. And at this moment, Kurozumi's attention was drawn to this scene. I couldn't be more surprised. Unexpectedly, before he could issue the order, all his subordinates would be frozen. Not good. Gotta run. But it was already too late as soon as I had this idea. At this time Kizaru suddenly appeared behind him. Whoosh! Clouds flashed across the sky, directly cut off the head of the Kurozumi snake. Extremely fast. Kizaru was stunned. He originally wanted to subdue Kurozumi Orochi, but he didn't expect this guy to be so weak. He accidentally beat him to death. Kizaru rubbed his head and returned to the ship. Advertisement, hey, he still has 7 heads, are you coming back? Ron kicked Kizaru off the boat and said angrily. Kizaru's old face darkened, speechless, shaked his head. Afraid of being taken advantage of by Marine. Why didn't you tell me earlier, you idiot? Kizaru came back to his senses and found that this guy had really stood up again. Where did these guys come from? Who would have thought he had 7 heads? 7 heads appeared at the same time, near Wano-kuni entrance falls. Why prevent this guy from standing up again? Kaido snorted. It really has 7 heads? It's so scary. Unexpectedly, I tried to defend myself, but a fire broke out in the rear. Kaido frowned. This guy finally learned how to last hit. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Quinn looked in Wanakuna's direction and said. Kizaru stabbed Kurozumi through the heart of the snake. Kaido was so focused on defending the waterfall that he hadn't looked back for the past few days, staring intently at the bottom of the waterfall. Kizaru's expression suddenly turned bad. Boss Kaido, I just discovered something, but I haven't mentioned it yet. Now I think it's time to say it. With a few cuts, all the heads were chopped off immediately. Also, isn't the fire a bit too bright to possibly cause a fight with him? Mainly to prevent myself from being kicked by Ron again. Then he turned and looked in the direction Quinn was pointing. I no longer dared to grind. After a moment, he suddenly became furious. Pull out the clouds from the sky and brush them. Come on, boss, we have been waiting here for several days. Is it possible that they have landed? 058. Kizaru looked embarrassed. It immediately turned into a yellow stream of light and rushed to the vicinity of the Kurozumi snake with a hiss. Boss Kaido, don't you think there is some sound coming from the direction of the Flower City? Quinn said while rubbing his head and yawning carefully. That's terrible, come on, Ron said angrily, now. 185. Momonosuke showed up and was criticized. Wano-kuni only recognized Marine. Who do you think you are? Previous chapter next chapter advertisement Jin frowned. Well, he said coldly, if it's that direction. Could it be that Marine is fighting Kurozumi Orochi? Kaido frowned and snorted. How did these guys get here? Quinn blew out the smoke and said in a deep voice. Then what should we do? Should we give up here? What if there is a Marine coming up here soon? Kaido snorted. It's impossible, all the Marines are in Wano-kuni. Although I don't know how Marine got here, I have to admit that I was tricked by Marine again. These guys made themselves wait here for 3 days and 3 nights. Didn't even sleep. Staring here intently. As a result, people have already logged in. And he had already captured Wano-kuni while he wasn't paying attention. Kaido doesn't think Kurozumi is a match for Marine. If the two sides really fought, Kurozumi would be dead by now. Boss Kaido, aren't we being fooled by Marine? What should we do? Quinn said this very ignorantly. The words just fell. Kaido slapped Quinn directly on the head, knocked him around in circles several times. Quinn was spinning. Still don't know what's going on. He looked at Jin with a confused expression. Brother Jin, why did Boss Kaido hit me? Jin said speechlessly, you idiot, you really don't care about anything. How could you say in front of Boss Kaido that we were fooled by Marine? This will make Boss Kaido unable to get off the stage. After all, it was Kaido who led them here. If you say this, doesn't it mean that Kaido was tricked by Marine? So of course Quinn will make Kaido unhappy when he says this. Advertisement. Let's go to Wano-kuni. Kaido snorted and waved his hand. He led his fleet and headed for Wano-kuni in a mighty manner. Wano-kuni at this moment, after Marine's sweep. Most of Kurozumi's people have been killed, have to say. In the face of Marine's formation, all enemies are paper tigers. No city wall can withstand the impact of 70 warships. No single force can defend against the charge of 70,000 Marines. After destroying all the remaining Kurozumi snakes, the whole Wano-kuni suddenly fell into a carnival. Because there was a lot of noise here, it was said that it had already attracted a group of onlookers. They came here out of curiosity to see what was going on here. Unexpectedly, I witnessed the birth of history with my own eyes just by looking at it. See for yourself how Wano-kuni is rescued. See with your own eyes how the Kurozumi snake is killed. I have to say that they were confused throughout the whole process, watching the whole process. Until now. Only then did these people finally realize what had happened. The Kurozumi snake that poisoned Wano-kuni for nearly 20 years was uprooted by Marine today. They never imagined that one day they would be saved. Now, the whole people fell into a carnival. The whole Wano Kuni suddenly burst into singing and dancing. Welcome to Marine. The whole city instantly came back to life. People rushed to tell each other, spread the entire news from the flower capital. Soon the news spread to every corner of Wano Kuni, and at first people didn't believe it. They didn't believe Kurozumi Orochi could be defeated so easily. They also don't believe that anyone will come to save them. But, advertisement the moment they entered the flower city, they saw with their own eyes the corpse of the Kurozumi snake hanging on a big tree. They all cried uncontrollably. Very good. Wano Kuni finally sees the light of day. None of them will forget that today will be a day that will go down in history. Sengoku was stunned when he saw this scene. Marine has never been more popular. This is more than just a walk-in welcome. The Wano Kuni residents on both sides were kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to Marine. Many people burst into tears and burst into tears. This shows how grateful they are to Marine for saving them. Let them get up quickly, Sengoku said to Ron. Let these people kneel down and let Marine feel it, they deserve it. Ron said calmly. These are honors earned by Marine soldiers at the risk of their lives. So, Ron had every right to let them enjoy this. Sengoku took a deep breath, looked back at the soldiers, and found that they were all immersed in this joy. I gained, BFBB, infinite satisfaction from this incident. It greatly enhanced their sense of honor. This can be regarded as a positive feedback effect. Marine soldiers who have experienced this incident will surely become more persistent in justice in the future. Have to say, Ron's approach is indeed correct. Sengoku couldn't help but sigh to himself. He was already old, but he didn't expect to learn so much from this young man. Akainu, there is a quarry in that direction over there. Many Wano Kuni people are imprisoned there. There should be some Kaido cadres responsible for guarding it. I will leave it to you. You can take people there to deal with it. Aokiji, there is a nest of bandits on the mountain over there. The leader is a man named Ashuradoji. That guy is not a good bird either. You have to take away the nest. Kizaru, there is a sumo wrestling ring not far ahead. You can take people to take care of it there. Fujitora, you two go and distribute all the food in Orochi's mansion. Green Bull, take people to take over all the weapons factories in Wano Kuni, wipe out all the remnants inside, and arrange for Marine people to be included. Ron stood at the bow of the boat and immediately took command. Even more than when the Kazuki clan served as the Admiral army. But Marine is different. Advertisement Marine really saved them. I wonder if I ended the time travel early? All the remnants of Wano Kuni have been cleared away. The Kazuki clan abandoned them for nearly 20 years. Momonosuke. No matter what, I decided to save Wano Kuni. But Marine did it. Now, in their hearts, the people of the Kazuki clan are no longer worthy of becoming the Admiral army here. Now, suddenly several people appeared out of thin air in a suburb of Wano Kuni. It was Momonosuke, Kinemon and others who traveled through time from more than 10 years ago to the present. Kinemon scratched his head. A leader who abandons his people does not deserve their forgiveness. Let them suffer the torture of Kurozumi no Orochi for these 20 years. Order was restored in an instant. Life is extremely miserable. In Wano Kuni, Marine's prestige was extremely high. Save them from fire and water. From then on, they only recognized Marine and their bald brother. As for the Kazuki clan, what were they? After all, now these ordinary residents feel a sense of security when they see Marine. At this time, the originally chaotic Wano Kuni. Ron took this as his base and immediately built a complete Marine management network. The area to be taken over is already fully manned by Marine personnel. Just 2 hours, after all, willingly accept their rule. All Wano Kuni residents warmly welcome Marine to the station. And at such a fast speed, Wano Kuni restored the previous order. Even if the Kazuki clan returns again, who will make up for the suffering they have suffered in the past 18 years? The original Kazuki clan did not give the Wano Kuni people such a strong sense of security. Even if the heirs of the Kazuki clan really come back, they are not willing to recognize the Kazuki clan as the Admiral army. 186. What young Master Kazuki? Who is this little brat? Don't block the road. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Momonosuke and his party began to move towards Wano Kuni, the capital of flowers. They just traveled back from 20 years ago. They had just experienced the war, and the scenes from that time were still in their minds. Now they are walking all the way, but I found that many houses were empty and there was no one on the streets. Very quiet. What exactly is going on? Several people looked at each other. Totally don't understand what happened. It doesn't look like no one lives here. Judging from the smoke rising from the streets and houses here, there must have been people there not long ago. But why are everyone missing now? Where have they all gone? Kinemon scratched his head and then said, what's going on? Where are the people here? Kanjuro's expression changed imperceptibly. I have a bad feeling. Momonosuke said stupidly, where have everyone gone? At this time, some finally ran into Marine patrolling ahead. The expressions of Kinemon and others changed. He immediately took Momonosuke and hid. Why is there a Marine here? What the hell is going on? Why is Marine here? Momonosuke exclaimed. It was his first time seeing Marine. Kanjuro's expression became even worse. As a subordinate of Kurozumi, it is definitely not a good thing to find Marine appearing in Wano-kuni. Not knowing what happened to Kurozumi, Kanjuro quietly drew a little bird on his hand. After finishing the drawing, the bird seemed to come alive. It started to fly secretly in one direction. Kanjuro is going to send a message to Kurozumi Orochi. Although nearly 20 years have passed, he still wants to tell Kurozumi Orochi the whereabouts of Momonosuke and others' return, so that Kurozumi can prepare in advance, after several people escaped Marine's patrol. Then he secretly headed towards the flower capital. The closer you get to the flower city, the denser the crowds become. And everyone is moving in the same direction. This made Kinemon and others feel more and more that something was fishy. Hey, wait a minute, where are you going this time? Advertisement. The guard gate stopped a random person and asked, "Don't you know about such a big thing? Go to the flower capital?" The man said with joy on his face. See? This made Kinemon and others even more confused. Why are everyone here so happy? All looked happy. This scene was something they had not expected before. Logically speaking, people here should be living in dire straits. How could I be as happy as I am now? Moreover, this smile comes from the heart, which Kinemon and others can see. Lei Zhang took a deep breath and said, Why are the people of Wano-kuni so happy? Do we still need to save them? Why do you feel like they don't recognize us anymore? Kinemon shook his head. Impossible, how could they not know us? The people here must still be waiting for the Kazuki clan to save them. Now that we are back, they should welcome us. Kinemon pulled another person over. Then asked, What are you doing in the flower capital? What else can you do? You don't even know this, right? Of course you are going to celebrate, and the flower capital is now giving out free food. Don't hold me back, I have to go quickly or I'll miss it. The man immediately threw Kinemon away, grabbed his hand, and continued running forward. XX. Kinemon and others were completely confused. Kurozumi, the big snake, can't be so kind and give out food to everyone, right? Impossible, that guy can never do such a good thing. Something big has happened in the flower capital, come on, let's go take a look too. After everyone finished their discussion, they began to move towards the flower capital. Along the way, Marine patrols can be seen everywhere. The strangest thing is, they didn't even see any of Kurozumi Orochi's ninja guards. I didn't see Kaido's pirate brother either. This is so unbelievable. You must know that 20 years ago, the entire flower city was almost entirely occupied by Kurozumi's lackeys and Kaido's pirates. Advertisement. But now along the way, I haven't seen anyone. A few hours later, finally arrived at the flower city. I found that everyone here was singing and dancing. There was a lot of laughter. People took the distributed food and were all very happy. The savior has come. The people who save us Wano-kuni are here. Welcome the savior to Wano-kuni. The whole flower city is crowded. Everyone was chanting at this moment. The shouts resounded throughout the world. People's joy and expectations can be heard from it. At this time, Kinemon, Momonosuke and others have just entered the city. As they entered, they heard the crowd cheering. I couldn't help but feel happy. They thought everyone was welcoming them. Kinemon said with a slight blush. Are they too high profile? Wouldn't our identities be exposed? I didn't expect them to look forward to our return so much. They also called us saviors. This title is so appropriate. We are here to save them, right, Chuji? Shaomu. Momonosuke was a little embarrassed. His face burst into laughter. Haha, of course, the title of savior is so suitable for me. I didn't expect that 20 years later, people here would still welcome us so much. We can't keep them waiting. Since they called out our identities, we don't have to hide them anymore. Asterisk. Let's show our identities right now. None of them expected that they would be so responsive to Wano-kuni. I didn't expect that I would be treated like this just after I crossed over. However, Kanjuro felt that something was wrong, because this is the capital of flowers after all, and it is the territory of the Kurozumi snake. How could this group of people be allowed to act so wantonly? According to Kurozumi-sama's character, he would not allow these people to do such a thing. But why haven't there been any guards to take care of it yet? And why hasn't the little bird he sent out to deliver the message come back yet? This is all too fishy. Advertisement. However, at this moment, Kinemon and Momonosuke were waving to the people around them with a look on their face. Unexpectedly, after returning 20 years ago, the whole Wano-kuni would be turned upside down. This is impossible. You actually call me a little brat? You're crazy. Who knows you? Who are you? Can you stop blocking the road? Kinemon stopped several more people, but they all got the same answer. Could it be that the savior they just referred to was not themselves and others? Who would have thought that things are different and people are different, and no one cares about them at all? I thought everyone would respond as if welcoming a hero back. TCH. Our savior is Marine. He has nothing to do with you. What about the Kazuki clan? Where are they? Aren't they dead long ago? Who is this little brat? I don't know him. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out from behind, pushed open the Kinemon, and then ran towards the flower capital cheering all the way. I never expected that these people would have such expressions. This time Kinemon was completely confused. Kinemon immediately stopped a person. So what were they cheering for just now? Kinemon pointed at himself and then at Momonosuke. It's not too late to celebrate after we completely kill the Kurozumi snake. We are here to save your savior. This is the young master of the Kazuki clan. Doesn't anyone know themselves? These people didn't recognize themselves? Right? Then asked. Everyone around looked at him like fools. Kinemon was completely confused and said hurriedly. Hey, give way, don't block the road, the man said impatiently. Momonosuke was also stunned. Everybody be quiet. Don't you know me? Don't you know His Highness? I know that everyone is looking forward to our return, but now is not the time to celebrate. Kinemon thought he would respond to 100 calls. The man glared at everyone present and said angrily. After that, the others left. 0. It was the person who pushed him away just now. 187. Ron abolished the position of general and Momonosuke was demoted to a pauper. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement. At this moment, both Kinemon and Kanjuro were confused. This sight was really unacceptable to them. When they first entered the Flower City, they thought these people were there to welcome them. But after several inquiries just now, no matter how many people you ask, the answers I got were pretty much the same. They're not welcoming the Kazuki clan back at all. Instead, he was welcoming Marine. What exactly is going on? Why has everything changed after 20 years? Why are you welcoming Marine so much? Didn't Wano-kuni immediately shut itself down? They probably didn't know Marine before this. They should know nothing about the external affairs of this country. Why do you suddenly have such a strong liking for Marine? This really makes everyone feel a little baffled. Kinemon scratched his head and said, Lord Momonosuke, they must have misunderstood the 090 meeting. No, they must have been deceived. Kinemon saw that Momonosuke was a little disappointed, so he immediately stepped forward to comfort him. Momonosuke burst into tears. I couldn't help but cry. Mr. Kinemon, what is going on? I am the future general of Wano-kuni. Why don't they know me? What's going on, when it comes to this? Momonosuke began to cry loudly. He is clearly the person that the people of Wano-kuni should welcome. But why is no one paying attention to me now? Have they really forgotten themselves? Kinemon saw Momonosuke crying and immediately stepped forward to comfort him. Impossible. It's impossible for them not to know Momonosuke-sama. Although nearly 20 years have passed, they will never forget the Kazuki clan. Advertisement, they must still be waiting for us to come back. It must be too chaotic now. Wait until I get on stage to calm everyone down, and then tell them our identities. I heard Kinemon say that. Momosuke felt better now. Really? Then they will recognize me? Momonosuke wiped his tears and said. Of course, they will definitely recognize Momonosuke-sama. Kinemon said firmly. Subsequently, he took Lord Momonosuke to the highest building. Standing on it, you can have a panoramic view of everything in the Flower City. You can still vaguely see 70 warships docked at the city gate. This made Kinemon and others take a deep breath. This number is really exaggerated, but now is obviously not the time to focus on this. Compared with this, the most important problem now is that the residents of Wano-kuni no longer recognize the Kazuki clan. This is a serious problem. Everyone, please be quiet and listen to me. Kinemon stood on the highest tower and shouted loudly. I have to say that his voice still attracted people's attention. Everyone couldn't help but turn to look at Kinemon. There are still a few people who can recognize Kinemon. I really kept everyone waiting for a long time. Look who's back, Kinemon said excitedly, pointing at Momosuke. Who is he? Aren't you Kinemon? We still know you, but who is that kid next to you? We have never seen him. Yeah, what does his coming back have to do with us? The crowd below let out a sigh of relief, and on the marine warship not far away. Sengoku watched the scene. What the hell are they doing? Advertisement. Sengoku doesn't know anything about 20-year time travel. Then, Ron briefly explained Momonosuke's identity and the causes and consequences of this incident. After Sengoku listened, I couldn't help but snorted coldly. Should we send someone to stop them? We can't let these people run wild. Ron smiled and shook his head. No need. Just watch the show quietly first. Don't you all recognize this person? He is Momosuke-sama. He is Oden-sama's son. Kinemon said hurriedly. What? It turns out to be him. HMPH, the Kazuki clan is back now. Do you know how we have spent the past 20 years? That's good. What's the use of him coming back now? Are we still allowed to stand in the way to welcome him? Look at the outrage below. Momonosuke cried again. Kinemon immediately said hurriedly, the Kazuki clan is here to save you. We traveled through time for 20 years just to save you now. Peeved. Don't be ridiculous. What did you do earlier? Why didn't you save us then and hide away until 20 years later to enjoy the benefits? You have made us suffer for 20 years, and now you have come to save us with just one word. We have to thank you, right? Besides, Marine has saved us, so we don't need you at all now. That's right. Besides, what can this crybaby save? You won't come back and want us to recognize this crybaby as a general, right? Stop dreaming. We will not recognize him. The people below let out a sigh of relief. These guys chose to abandon them when they were in the most danger 20 years ago and fled alone for 20 years. They are relaxed and have not suffered much in the past 20 years. But what about the people who stay here? But after they have truly suffered from 20 years of oppression, why can they just sit back and enjoy the benefits when they come back now? It's Marine who saves us, not you Kazuki clan. You want us to recognize you again. Dream on. At this moment, the oppression that everyone has suffered for 20 years has all turned into dissatisfaction with the Kazuki clan. Advertisement. Kinemon was confused. No matter what he said, the people below no longer listened to him. He looked at Momonosuke who was crying loudly next to him. Kinemon sat helplessly on the ground. Only at this moment did he know that Kurozumi had been killed by Marine. It's still too late to come back while waiting for others. Now, no one trusts the Kazuki clan anymore. Let's go, it's our turn. Ron said to Sengoku and others. Ron was quite satisfied with the reaction of the Wano-kuni people. It seemed that these guys were not white-eyed wolves. They know who their benefactor is. It's Marine's people, they're coming, Kanjuro said, pointing not far away. Now, Ron et al. Slowly arrived at the high building where Kinemon is located. All Wano-kuni people in the audience saw Marine take the stage. There was another burst of cheers. His attitude towards Momonosuke was completely different from just now, a world of difference. Momonosuke cried even more when he saw this scene. Ron waved. Suppressed all the voices present. The people in Wano-kuni were also very cooperative and kept silent. Kinemon was shocked by this scene. First didn't expect Marine to take control and govern the country so quickly. Looking at Marine's bald head, his appeal is even stronger than that of Kazuki Oden. I want to announce something to you today. Wano-kuna's long-term isolation led to everything that happened here. The Kazuki family bears a great deal of responsibility for this matter. Now that Wano-kuni has been taken over by Marine, the fourth thing I am announcing is abolition of all status and rights of the Kazuki clan in Wano-kuni. From now on, there will no longer be positions in the Admiral Army in Hezi Kingdom. This little kid will become an ordinary member of Wano-kuni from today on, just like you. 188. Kaido came. Momonosuke was frightened and fainted, begging Marine to take action. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. After Ron finished speaking, the whole place was in an uproar, especially Momonosuke and others. They all looked confused. After all, he is also Kazuki Oden's son. In theory, he should take over the position of general of Wano-kuni. This is all hereditary. So, when he heard Ron's words, Momonosuke was stunned. I couldn't help but started to cry loudly again, crying even more intensely. Kinemon. He also looked in disbelief. He never expected that Marine would do such a great job. The position of Admiral was directly abolished in public. Wouldn't this directly end Wano-kuna's inheritance? How is this possible? If Momonosuke cannot be made a general, so how can they stand up to Kazuki Oden? When I think of this, Kinemon felt very uncomfortable, and even more angry. You, Marine, are in charge of heaven and earth. How can you control Wano-kuni? Wano-kuni never joined world government. It's not your Marine's turn to take care of it. Scholars can endure it, but others cannot. Kinemon erupted on the spot. Shut up. I don't know who you are, but you have no right to do this. How can it be your Marine's turn to take care of our Wano-kuni affairs? No matter how powerful you are, you can't possibly care about our Wano-kuni affairs. We Wano-kuni have not joined the world government. So it's not under Marine's jurisdiction. Don't think we don't know this rule. Please leave Wano-kuni immediately. Wano-kuna's affairs should be handled by Wano-kuna's people. Kinemon said with a very serious expression. Oh? Can you take care of it? Ron turned his head and said calmly. Advertisement. The voice is very soft, but the tone is very serious. Why not? It's not your business to take care of our Wano-kuni affairs in the first place. Since we can also save the residents of Wano-kuni, we have everything planned. Lord Momonosuke, you came through time just to save Wano-kuni, Kinemon said while comforting Momonosuke. Ron laughed in anger. Momonosuke was still crying and didn't know why Kinemon had the nerve to say this. Ron suddenly pointed in a direction. Did you see that direction? See those ships? Those are Kaido's fleet. They're heading towards Wano-kuni now. Since you said you can take care of it, very good. Then we, Marine, will not interfere. Kaido will be here soon. You can deal with it yourself. Ron said calmly. Kinemon's expression changed and he suddenly looked towards the distance pointed by Ron. Sure enough, we found that several fleets were heading here at full speed. High speed. The distance is getting closer. At first only a few small black dots were visible. But now the whole ship can be seen, just like they remembered. These are indeed Kaido's pirate ships, hateful. Of course Kinemon knew he couldn't defeat Kaido. If Kaido really comes, then they can't protect Momonosuke. Momonosuke will definitely be killed by Kaido by then. Kinemon was so shocked that he was speechless. He could only tremble helplessly there. But, when these people in Wano Kuni heard Ron say this, all had a look of fear on their faces, his entire face turned pale. They are now emerging from a sea of suffering. I don't want to jump into another sea of misery again. After finally getting rid of the Kurozumi Orochi, if Marine leaves them alone, they will become Kaido's slaves again. Advertisement, it will only get worse by then. Everyone looked at Momonosuke, who was crying loudly. Only a fool would believe him, instead of believing this unreliable little brat at this time. It's better to pin your hopes on Marine. If this child is really allowed to be their general, then Marine will not care about their life or death. These people didn't think that this scared kid could help them get rid of Kaido. They know very well who to choose. At least they had seen Marine's strength just now, killing the Kurozumi snake easily. So, relying on Marine's strength to kill Kaido wouldn't be a problem. As for Momonosuke, besides these few defeated generals, what else is there? And these defeated soldiers are also the ones who lost to Kaido 20 years ago. If you couldn't win Kaido 20 years ago, can you win now? It's simply impossible. Kaido is more than twice as powerful as he was 20 years ago. But the strength of these guys has not reached its level. So if you put your hope on them, it will only lead to history repeating itself. So when I think of this group of Wano Kuni residents quit immediately. He immediately protested, we all choose Marine. We support Marine's decision to depose General Wano Kuni. That's right, we don't want Wano Kuni's future general to be a crybaby. We know the use of crying. Can we safely trust our lives and future to such people? Instead of trusting our lives to people like this, we should leave them to Marine. At least Marine is trustworthy, at least Marine has a proven record. And Marine just saved us too. We don't need General Wano Kuni's position, after all, it's just useless people. They never really protect us. If something goes wrong, they only know how to run away. These residents of Wano Kuni spoke unabashedly in front of Kinemon and Momonosuke. Kinemon blushed when he told him. Unexpectedly, the residents of Wano Kuni no longer accepted them. What do you have the nerve to say? Momonosuke cried harder. After all, if Wano Kuni's generals were eliminated, then the Kazuki clan would be ordinary people. For Momonosuke, the young leader of the Kazuki clan who had nothing but clothes and food to open, it was a huge blow. When Kinemon saw this, he could only quickly comfort him. And this time, advertisement Ron suddenly slapped the wall. It means boom. The whole wall collapsed. The huge sound covered the whole place. Everyone shut their mouths instantly. Only Momonosuke was still crying. 647. Ron roared. Shut up, if I hear you cry again, I will throw you into the sea to feed the fish. Ron was most annoyed when children cried. This is simply the most annoying sound in the world. Hearing his head explode, Ron had rarely been so angry. Suddenly furious, this sound resounded throughout heaven and earth. Momonosuke was so scared that he was stunned. In an instant, his eyes turned white, he foamed at the mouth, and he fainted. His whole body twitched, but Kinemon and others were frightened. Immediately started artificial respiration. Momonosuke-sama, are you okay? Wake up quickly, Momonosuke-sama, don't scare us. It looked like Momonosuke was almost scared to death. Everyone was anxious. And at this time, Kaido and others also logged in. Aren't you going to save Wano Kuni yourself? You can do it now. Ron said calmly. Kinemon's feet turned green. This incompetent young master was so frightened that he fainted, and now he still doesn't know whether he is alive or dead. How can he deal with Kaido? I can't deal with Kaido. Kinemon didn't care whether he was embarrassed or not, he lowered his head and said directly in public. TCH, there was a burst of boos from below, aren't you pretending? Ron said calmly. I was reckless just now, please also ask Marine to save Wano Kuni. Kinemon felt that he was completely humiliated. Seeing Kaido landing, the momentum was even stronger than 20 years ago. This was simply not something he could find someone to deal with. 189. Big Crisis, Kaido's trump card to annihilate Marine. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement now, Kaido landed in Wano Kuni with a group of younger brothers. Have to say, Kaido's temper is not very good now. Because he discovered that Ron and Marine were indeed here at Wano Kuni. And all the marine warships are here. What's even more annoying is, through observation haki, Kaido easily detects Wanokuna's changes. There are no Kurozumi people here at all. That is to say, everyone in Kurozumi Orochi died. This is really incredible. How so? In other words, Marine successfully landed on Wano-kuni in just a few hours. Moreover, all the forces of the Kurozumi Orochi here were wiped out. This really doesn't look like what Marine is doing. Normally, Marine will not care about matters other than those of the participating countries. After all, Marine exists to maintain the security of franchised countries. As for these non-member countries, not within Marine's jurisdiction at all. Why are these guys so free today? Kaido was really confused. But what made Kaido even more angry was something else. That is, during these 3 days, I was like a fool, staying awake day and night for fear of missing Marine. We ate on the boat, lived on the boat, and just stayed at the waterfall for a day. What's the result? Nothing happened. Marine and his gang landed on the island from another direction. How did these guys do it? Kaido really can't understand. But seeing is believing. Now these people did appear in front of him, and they made a big fuss in Wano-kuni. There has been a fight here for a long time, and I don't even know it. Still waiting there stupidly. Advertisement: if Quinn hadn't been a sharp-eyed guy, I might have continued to wait there. When the time comes and we are outflanked by Marine, it will really become a joke. Kaido was really pissed off. This is completely being played by Marine, which is tolerable but not intolerable. This matter must come to an end today no matter what. Sengoku. Lousy knows you are leading the team today. Backquote. Kaido stood on the bow and shouted loudly. Sengoku also stepped forward. He said coldly, "Humph, I thought you would only be able to react tomorrow." Well, it's not a good feeling to wait at the waterfall. Sengoku and Ron have learned bad things now and are starting to get weird. Kaido was already angry. When Sengoku said this, he became even more angry. HMPH, stop talking nonsense. It was my carelessness that allowed you to come up. If I guessed correctly, it should be the abilities of the 2 newly recruited admirals you have recruited. Kaido is the 4th emperor after all. Observation haki has practiced to the point of perfecting. As he approached Marine, he had already noticed that Marine had 2 more unfamiliar auras. Combined with the news of the past 2 days, it is easy to deduce that these 2 people should be Marine's new admirals. Kaido has never seen these 2 people, but he can feel their strength from their breath. Sengoku said with a smile, "It seems you are not that stupid. Since we have thought that we have 2 more admirals, we can't help but capture them." Kaido snorted coldly and said, "HMPH, since you came here prepared, do you think I am not prepared for anything?" That's ridiculous. As soon as this statement came out, Sengoku felt a little weird for a moment, but he didn't feel any changes on Kaido's side. Be tough. Death is imminent, but you still don't admit it. Sengoku shook his head and said, "Okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore." Advertisement: let the real person in charge of Marine come out. First, no, Marine is no longer under your control, Sengoku. Kaido said impatiently. It was obvious that he no longer wanted to waste time. Sengoku frowned, somewhat unhappy, but he still stepped back. Give your spot to Ron. Ron walked forward slowly and stood on the high platform, looking down at Kaido. Teacher guy, do you have any last words to say? Kaido suddenly laughed and said, "This is what I should be saying to you. I'm so glad you guys logged into Wano-kuni. Otherwise, I don't know how to lure you here. Thank you for not landing from the front of the waterfall. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would have to pay some casualties to lead you to Wano-kuni. This is great. You were so clever that you actually logged into Wano-kuni vividly. That would be great." As soon as Kaido said this, Marine Admiral is confused. Look at each other. I really don't understand what Kaido means. Even Marshal Sengoku looked confused. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Kaido has no hope of victory now. All 5 Marine Admirals are here. It's really easy to deal with Kaido. Precisely because of this, Kaido's attitude makes people feel a little confused. It stands to reason that when Kaido saw this kind of formation, how dare he come? This guy isn't stupid enough to think he can deal with 5 admirals. And, this time Marine also brought nearly 70,000 people. They can also suppress the Kaido pirates in terms of military strength. Before this, Sengoku only thought that Kaido might be a reckless man. But after hearing Kaido say this, I instantly felt a chill running down my spine. I have a bad feeling. What do you mean? Sengoku frowned and asked. Kaido was very satisfied with the other person's expression. Advertisement: he couldn't help but smile. Ha ha ha, it seems you feel something too. Do you know why I am so happy to see so many of you here? The more Marines you have, the better. You can see that all the Marine Admirals are here today. Marshal Marine is also here, and this damn bald Inspector General is also here. This is great. It turns out that Kaido came here just to confirm who is here. So he just called Sengoku out first, and then called Ron out. Now, Kaido was extremely excited, because these people are here. That being the case, it would be great. We can take advantage of this opportunity to catch all the main Marines in one fell swoop. At that time, the remaining strength of Marine, Zhao Hao, will be the few people at the headquarters. Those people are no match for him. Ha ha ha. Unexpectedly, everything went so smoothly. What on earth do you mean? Sengoku said with a frown. Ron also felt a little surprised. Could it be that Kaido had a backup plan? After all, I didn't see him having any other backups in the anime. But at this time, Kaido suddenly took something out of his hand. Like a transparent test tube, it contains something purple. When this thing is taken out, it is good. Zephyr breathed a sigh of relief. No one knows what it is better than him, because he also plans to use this thing. That is dynamite rock. What are you going to do? Zephyr said immediately. It seems you know it too. That would be even better. The Wano Kuni under your feet is full of explosive rocks. Ha ha ha. 190. Explosive rock ice ghost, detonating Wano Kuni. Ron teaches the surrenderers a lesson. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. As soon as this statement came out, the whole audience was in an uproar. All the Marines looked horrified, especially the new Marines who followed Zephyr. Their faces were pale at this moment. They know the power of dynamite rocks better than ordinary Marines. Because they have used this thing. Zephyr tried this kind of thing when he was preparing to blow up the volcano. So they know the power of this thing very well, if it is true as Kaido said. The entire Wano Kuni underground is full of explosive rocks, so they are really in danger. Even one of these things can easily blow up a warship, leaving no trace of armor behind. If this is what is buried under the entire Wano Kuni, then when they are detonated together, they can directly lift Wano Kuni into the sky. Can destroy absolutely anything on the island. No one survives. Don't call it a human being. Even the island of Wano Kuni could be blown to smithereens. Such is the power of dynamite rock. This time, these Marines are really panicking. They don't want to be blown up alive. Not only that, the mood of these residents of 900 Wano Kuni has completely turned 180 degrees. I was very happy just now, finally out of the sea of suffering and able to live a normal life. But I didn't expect it to happen in a flash. His life was already hanging by a thread. As an industrial country and a famous weapons manufacturing country, they still have some knowledge of this kind of thing. This is much more powerful than ordinary explosives. Advertisement. They also know very well that if what Kaido said is true, then as long as he detonates all the explosive rocks under Wano Kuni, the opponent can win without any effort. It's that simple. Now the situation has completely reversed. Marine, who had the upper hand before, was now a prey to mermaids. They are meat on the chopping block now. Life or death depends entirely on the other person's mood. At this moment, the people of Wano Kuni were desperate. Kaido was very satisfied with everyone's expressions. At this moment, he was on the dock, watching the scene coldly. All it takes is a blast of dynamite. 99.9% of Marines people will die here. Except for a few admirals who had a chance to escape desperately, the others, BFCG, had no chance. However, can other admirals run? Kaido couldn't help but sneer. There is not only dynamite rock buried here, but also the ice ghost made by Quinn. That is to say, this is a chain of injuries. After the dynamite rock explodes, the water ghost's energy can be completely released. By then, even those who were not killed will still be infected by the ice ghost. There is still no cure. That is to say, not a single living person in Wano Kuni was wanted to escape today. Zephyr frowned. Kaido, what are you going to do? Everything is open to discussion. Exploding Wano Kuni will not do you any good either. As Zephyr, who was most aware of the power of dynamite rock, he wanted to find other solutions. Haha, you are still sensible. I can also give you a chance. As long as you surrender and keep half of the Marines here as hostages and as coolies for me, then I will let the other half leave. I do what I say, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Advertisement. Kaido sneered. He was really reluctant to blow up Wano Kuni. After all, his weapons and smile fruit are inseparable from Wano Kuni. After hearing Kaido say this, Zephyr's expression immediately changed. Everything else can be discussed, but it is absolutely impossible to give Marine to you as a hostage, let alone half of them, not even one. Hear this. Kaido seemed to have heard a joke. He laughed loudly and then said, no, it's not up to you to choose. Either they all die, or half of them are left as slaves and hostages. You don't think that there is only dynamite rock under Wano Kuni. To tell you the truth, there are also poisonous ice ghosts buried underneath. You may not know how powerful this poison is now, but it doesn't matter. You'll see. What? Quinn's ice ghost? Many people in Wano Kuni know this thing, because they have seen Quinn doing experiments on people in Wano Kuni. So we are very aware of the spread and harm of this thing. Now they were even more desperate. There is no hope of survival now. Even if you are lucky enough to survive the explosion, you will be poisoned by the ice ghost. All the residents of Wano collapsed on the ground. His face turned pale. Like the Walking Dead. What? Zephyr's expression also changed. He never expected that Kaido would have more than one back move. Now Zephyr was shaken. According to the current situation, Kaido's proposal does indeed involve the least sacrifice. Then, Zephyr came to Ron. Zephyr looked at Ron with an indifferent expression. I thought he didn't know the power of the dynamite rock, so he said immediately. I know very well the power of the dynamite rock. If it really explodes, these soldiers will definitely die. Advertisement, I don't know the power of that ice ghost, but since it can be used with dynamite rocks, it must be no ordinary thing. Ron suddenly looked at Zephyr with burning eyes. Oh, what do you mean? Zephyr shook his head, sighed, and then whispered. So instead of sacrificing everyone, Ron interrupted directly. So, you are the one who wants to sacrifice your other half. Zephyr's face darkened and he said, to put it another way, we are actually the ones who want to save the other half. It's better than everyone dying. Hear this. Ron was furious. Grabbed Zephyr's prosthetic arm with sudden force. Bang. The prosthetic limb exploded directly and turned into a pile of fragments. Zephyr is confused. This is the material of sea stone. It was crushed by his hand. This is too scary. Is this something humans can do? Sea stone is extremely strong. Zephyr has never seen anyone crush a sea stone directly. Ron's eyes were cold and he shouted, remember, first, Marine cannot surrender. Second, you can't make deals with pirates. Third, don't sell your serve to win. Have you understood? This is the most basic conduct as a leader. If there is a next time, it won't just be your prosthetic limb that is broken. Do you understand? 191. Stop talking nonsense and officially start the war with Kaido. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement Zephyr was stunned. Ron said that he had no power to reply, he just stood there in a daze at the moment. Before this, he had seen Ron teach Kizaru a lesson, and he had also seen Ron teach Sengoku a lesson. I felt Ron's momentum right then, but, after all, it did not happen to him. So the feeling is not very strong. At that time, he didn't understand why both Kizaru and Sengoku listened to him honestly when Ron taught him a lesson. But now, when the protagonist changes to himself, Zephyr finally understood. Ron's momentum is so strong that you can't resist at all. I can only accept the training here honestly. The key is. What others said made sense, and I had no way to refute it. Zephyr also knew that he was in the wrong. He is not a tough talker either. He glanced at the crushed sea stone prosthesis on his hand and couldn't help but sigh. Then said, of course I understand this too, but what can we do now? If we don't listen to Kaido, then the residents of Wano and Marine may not be able to survive. So I am also very helpless. Many times you have to bow to reality. What Zephyr said was serious and realistic, at this point. Sengoku next to him felt the same way, because when he was Marine Marshal, he had faced this choice countless times. Ron had not yet come to Marine headquarters at that time. At that time, Marine was still in turmoil and not as powerful as it is now. Advertisement so Sengoku understands Zephyr's words very well. When a person is not strong, he can only face various compromises. You must find a balance between the two and weigh the pros and cons. There is no way around it. Many times they do so out of helplessness. Just like just now. If it were Sengoku, Sengoku would probably choose to compromise with the pirates. Not because he was willing to do so, but because there was really no other way. He couldn't think of a way to get the best of both worlds. That being the case, it would be a good deal if half of the Marines were used as human resources in exchange for the remaining Marines and Wano residents staying alive. There is nothing that can be done about it. It is better to retain some people than to wipe out the whole army. Sengoku would also think so when Ron taught Zephyr a lesson just now. Sengoku was also ashamed. Every word Ron said to Zephyr, Sengoku felt like he was talking about himself. He said that his face turned red and he was very ashamed. This is also something that can't be helped. Sengoku also asked with some shame. Then what should we do now? We have no way to protect the residents of Wano while protecting Marine at the same time. This is indeed a question that has been lingering in Sengoku's mind. Zephyr also came forward, wanting to listen to what Ron has to say. After all, he couldn't think of a way to get the best of both worlds. How to save the residents of Marine and Wano at the same time. But what Ron said next, but it completely subverted their three views. The two people were extremely shocked. Ron said, is there still a choice? Isn't it easy for us? Advertisement, prioritize protecting Marine. While protecting all Marine names, consider protecting Wano See, does this mean Ron wants to give up Wano? Both Sengoku and Zephyr are a bit unbelievable. If all the energy is used to protect our own people, then Wano will definitely be hit hard. I'm not sure how many people will survive by then. Ron smiled and said, does this have anything to do with us? After all, Wano Kuni has not joined the world government and is not within the scope of our protection. Why should we sacrifice our own lives to protect an irrelevant person? For me, Marine soldiers are more important. Ron's voice was soft. But the words he spoke were as valuable as gold. It hit Sengoku and Zephyr deeply in their hearts, constantly impacting their outlook on life. Sengoku and Zephyr looked at each other. I couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. The Inspector General is right. We don't need to put such deep moral shackles on ourselves. Wano Kuni itself has nothing to do with us. We are here just to help them, and they have not joined the world government. Asterisk 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 1 asterisk, so we can only provide limited help. Once it exceeds our capabilities, there is no need to risk our lives. Sengoku nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that he understood what Ron meant. Yes, children can be taught. Ron nodded. Zephyr couldn't accept it for a while. Sengoku patted the old man on the shoulder and said, this is the best way. The words of several people were very quiet, and they were not heard by others, let alone the people of Wano Kuni. Kaido was getting a little impatient with waiting. He said with a frown, how about it, have you thought about it? Advertisement, as long as you bring half of the Marines to me as hostages, I can let the rest go, including Wano Kuni. Slowly disintegrating the enemy is one of Kaido's usual methods. At that time, Kazuki Oden was killed by relying on this method. Now I also want to use this method to dismantle Marine. Now I can ask for half of Marine's people. After a while, I can use this method to threaten Marine and ask them to hand over some more people. Weakening Marine's combat effectiveness step by step. Teacher guy, don't use those little tricks in front of me. Marine will not make a deal with you. Ron said coldly. Then he gave the order directly to Tenghu. Fujitora. Rise. At the same time, Fujitora directly pulled out his staff sword and quickly made a sword dance. Immediately afterwards, all warships escaped gravity directly. Started to float into the air. Kaido was stunned. Marine actually wanted to run away. Immediately, he detonated the dynamite rock without hesitation. Aokiji, Kizaru, Akainu. All nanomechs. Control the scale of the explosion as much as possible, and save as many as you can. Ron ordered immediately. The words just fell. The entire cake island banged, and the sound of explosions could be heard one after another. It's like throwing a bunch of firecrackers on a piece of cake. Firecrackers burst into flames. The cake was blown up and flying everywhere. This is the scene in Wano Kuni at this moment, at the critical moment. The warship barely took off. 192. Teacher guy, why don't you come to Marine to give a crash course on Fruit Awakening? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ice Age. Aokiji immediately used the strongest Ice Age. Freeze the entire bottom area. Once this explosive is frozen, it cannot explode. This is Ron's plan. Let Fujitora use the gravity fruit first, and then all the warships will rise up. To reduce Marine casualties. After doing all this, let Aokiji use his maximum ability to freeze the ground. In this case, you can reduce losses as much as possible. Although the whole Wano Kuni is exploding at this moment. But fortunately, most people are concentrated in the Flower City. In other words, most of Wano Kuni is deserted. This is all thanks to the fact that these people are more curious and come here to watch the fun. So Aokiji just needs to freeze the Flower City. Just don't let the bomb here explode. Then everything is easy to say. Other places are not important. By holding on here, casualties can be minimized. 987. Aokiji used all his strength. Stand directly in the flames of the explosion below and push the east fruit with all your strength. For a moment, with his feet as the center of the circle. Circles of ice spread rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the entire Flower City was covered. At the same time, Aokiji's freezing ability begins to spread underground. During this period, there were still many missed explosion points. Exploded the ice. But it's harmless. Soon the ground in the Flower City was frozen, and the unexploded explosive rocks buried inside all went silent. Advertisement. Most people in the Flower City survived. At this moment, the warship in question has already flown into the sky. There were no casualties at Marine, have to say. The arrival of Tenghu has made a lot of contributions to Marine. This guy's abilities are so convenient. Well done, Fujitora. Ron nodded. I'm just trying my best to do what I can. It would be best if I could help the Inspector General. Fujitora said calmly. Marine, who put on the nanosuit in advance, flew around the Flower City. Also saved many people. Greatly reduced casualties among the Wano Kuni people. Great, I thought I was going to die. I didn't expect this guy Kaido to be so mean as to plant explosives under us. Yeah, if Marine hadn't been here, we would have been wiped out. Thanks to Marine for saving us. I really thought I was going to die just now, but I didn't expect that we could be saved. The Wano Kuni residents who survived are even more grateful now. Compared to those who died, they were much luckier. It is precisely because of this. Only then will they cherish this luck more and be more grateful to Marine for saving them. This moment, their support for Marine has reached an all-time high. He completely regarded Marine as his savior, because death is right in front of you. They were only one step away from death. Being rescued at this time was a great shock to them. Sengoku looked at the cheering and grateful Wano-kuni people below, suddenly thought of something, and then said, "Inspector General, you did this on purpose. Deliberately saving them at this time to deepen their kindness to Marine and make them more obedient to Marine." Ron smiled and shook his head, then said, "Don't say it, don't say it." Zephyr looked at the mysterious two people, confused. But no matter what, all casualties have indeed been reduced to a minimum. Akainu also used his own abilities to stabilize the eruption of underground magma. Advertisement: the explosion of the explosives directly broke the underground magma veins. Magma began to erupt upwards in many places. The effect of Akainu is reflected, and it suppresses the explosion very well. Kaido et al. At the dock. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect that his trump card would be neutralized by Marine. Damn it. It seems that these guys are really difficult to deal with. I thought I could blow them all to death, but I didn't expect them all to run away. Kaido looked at the warships flying in the sky. At this moment, I finally understood how these guys logged into Wano-kuni. No wonder they didn't come up from the waterfall. It turned out that they could use their abilities to directly make the warship fly. In this case, there is indeed no need to pass through the waterfall. As long as you can fly, you can get to Wano-kuni from anywhere. Quinn said immediately, "Boss Kaido, don't worry, don't forget we still have a trump card. My ice ghost should be released soon. Calculating the time, it should be almost the same." Quinn suddenly sneered. This is his proud work. Most of them are also buried underground in Wano-kuni, and when the dynamite rock explodes, the ice ghosts can be released directly. It just so happens that all the residents of Wano-kuni are in the Flower City right now. Use them to spread the ice ghost, and Marine can't escape. Kaido nodded, very satisfied. At the same time, underground in the Flower City, a large amount of poisonous gas suddenly emerged from the ground. It was Quinn's ice ghost. The green poisonous gas spread throughout the flower poison in an instant. Many people are directly infected. It will be infected as long as it is touched, and it will continue to spread in the body. When it spreads to the whole body, revolving heaven will be powerless. The residents of Wano-kuni who were infected by the ice ghost all began to panic. I thought I had escaped from the catastrophe just now. But who could have imagined that disasters would come one after another? The more panicked they were, the faster they infected each other. Okay, give out the medicine. This is something I have studied carefully for decades. Advertisement: all Wano-kuni residents now seem to regard Marine as a god. Teacher Guy, how about you give my Marine a sprint class? Having used Kaido to completely regain Wano-kuni, there is indeed no need for him to exist anymore. This is too exaggerated. Ron said calmly. Even if Vegapunk comes, it won't be able to be cracked so easily. Then the antidote was injected into the fairy beans, and the effect of the fairy beans was used to restore physical strength and increase the potency of the medicine. In just one day, Marine has saved them 3 times. When we were at the Marine headquarters, we asked the doctors at the headquarters to simulate the antidote based on this symptom. Ron jumped off the boat. Naturally, he wasn't worried about dealing with the ice ghost. How could Ron, who had already watched One Piece, not know that Quinn had this killer move? Marine had already distributed the fairy beans. At this time Kaido was confused. So, the kindness towards Marine has turned into faith, has become more deeply rooted, and has become unbreakable. Everyone started to kowtow to Marine. Ron was ready to end the fight. Then, like dumplings, Marine jumped off the warship in the sky. Ron's fairy beans are unlimited anyway. The injury he suffered just now healed in an instant. This kindness is simply irreparable. He didn't expect that the ice ghost he developed himself would be cracked so easily. Wano-kuni is now basically completely convinced. It was Marine who saved them again. What exactly did the bald man order Marine to give them just now? This moment, Sengoku looked at this scene, took a deep breath, and couldn't help but look at Ron, and began to feel 5.0 that Ron's methods were really powerful. What methods did Marine use? It's so amazing. Soon, Quinn was also confused. It fell to the ground with a plop. The infected person, when he eats the fairy beans, instantly feels refreshed. Not only does the toxin dissipate, but the whole person also becomes more energetic. The scene was extremely spectacular. 193. Kaido is said to be the strongest in single combat. Kaido's Ron. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement: what fruit awakening crash course? Kaido frowned, really not knowing what this guy was talking about. What the hell are you talking about? And you've been calling me teacher guy since just now. What does this mean? Kaido is a little confused now. Compared to Ron cracking the ice ghost, he still cared more about this matter. Ron smiled and shook his head, then said, "This is an affirmation of your teaching ability. I'm complimenting you." Kaido's expression became worse and worse. "What the hell are you talking about, little brat?" He was getting angrier now. "Also, how did you crack the ice ghost? This is the first time this kind of poison has been used on a large scale, so you probably don't know." Ron said calmly, "Of course I have studied the antidote in advance. Do you think I will come here unprepared?" Kaido turned and glared at Quinn. "Boss Kaido, I have never told anyone the formula of this ice ghost. It is impossible for them to prepare the antidote in advance. It is absolutely impossible." "Forget it, this is not important anymore." 15 inches Kaido snorted coldly. "I admit that you are the most difficult enemy I have encountered so far. But, you should have heard of my name." Kaido just finished speaking. The whole person's temperament suddenly changed. The air around him seemed to freeze, make everyone feel shuddering. Lousy is known as the strongest in single combat. Advertisement, it is recognized as the strongest creature. "You kid, how dare you stand up and fight with me alone?" Kaido's huge body looked down at Marine, he said coldly. This was the first time someone took the initiative to challenge Ron. And asked for a duel. Ron couldn't help but become interested. He said with a smile, "Oh, this is interesting. You can tell me what kind of one-on-one method it is." Seeing that the other party finally took the bait, Kaido couldn't help but sneer secretly and then said it word by word. "The rules are simple. You and I go to Ghost Island to show off, just you and me. If you win, then the Kaido pirates, will be at your disposal. But on the contrary, if I win, then you Marines will never be able to set foot in Wano Kuni again, and this place will be under my control. How about it, do you dare or not?" Ron spread his hands and said in a very nonchalant tone. "Why don't you dare? Tell me about the conditions for victory and defeat." I often see Ron agreeing to it, which makes me secretly happy. The rules are very simple. Whoever falls off Guizi Island loses, and whoever is beaten so hard that he can't get up loses. Those are the two rules. How about it? Ron nodded and said, "Interesting, that's no problem." "Okay, happy." Kaido laughed. He directly raised the gourd of wine and poured it into his stomach. "Wait until I bring Onigashima over and then we'll start." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned into a blue dragon, rose into the air, and flew towards the Ghost Island. Advertisement Sengoku immediately stepped forward and said, "Don't be fooled by him, this guy must be deceitful." Kizaru touched the crooked mouth of his chin and walked forward. "How about letting me go out to fight? It's safer this way." Since he can bury explosive rocks under Wano Kuni, he can also do the same thing under Onigashima. After all, I am Logia. Even if there is an explosion on it, I will not be hurt, so I still let me go to the island to fight him. Bar. Ron was a little surprised. "I didn't expect that this guy would take the initiative to ask for help." Ron praised. "You've made a lot of progress, Kizaru." "Kizaru is right." Sengoku nodded. "It's better not to have you come forward in person." Ron shook his head and said, "Don't worry, even if the Ghost Island is full of explosive rocks, they won't be able to hurt me. Since I have been challenged, I must take action myself." Just when a few people were talking, Kaido carries the power of wind and thunder from a distance and shuttles through the clouds. Not far behind, a huge island floats in the sky out of thin air. Flying quickly towards this side. What a guy. It's really a terrifying ability to be able to carry such a huge island. Akainu looked at the giant island in the sky and said in disbelief. As expected of the most powerful creature, his devil fruit ability is really too comprehensive. There are few such comprehensive devil fruit abilities. Aokiji took a breath and said, "Next moment, it makes people shudder just looking at it." Two people stood at opposite ends of the uppermost level of Onigashima. This is thousands of meters in the air. The clouds rubbed against each other countless times, and lightning intertwined, all striking 367 Guizi Island. There was a loud bang, advertisement subsequently. "If not, are you ready?" Transformed into a human form again. Conqueror's Haki is surrounded by lightning and thunder all over his body. Ron and Kaido stood up from the ground at the same time and jumped directly into the air. Kaido's huge body penetrated the clouds. During the battle, you have to avoid the thunder falling from the sky at any time. Kaido's eyes were blazing. The island flying in the sky was being baptized by thunder and lightning. Landed on Ghost Island, he also took out his mace. He had already jumped to an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. Falling from the sky. Just a few seconds. If you are not careful, you will be struck to death by lightning. At the same time, Kaido landed on the ground, he said coldly. The reaction force provided by the cracked earth caused the two bodies to fly upwards rapidly. Bring it on. The Ghost Island behind him was hovering in the turbulent clouds. Let's start. Rumble. The ground beneath their feet instantly cracked. The battle begins from this moment. Ron moved his wrist, looked at Kaido and said, "They actually want to have a decisive battle on this island?" A thunder flashed across the sky. Subsequently, Kaido's huge body penetrated the clouds. Falling from the sky, the ghost island behind him was hovering in the turbulent clouds. Advertisement: the clouds rubbed against each other countless times, and lightning intertwined, all striking 367 Guizi Island. The island flying in the sky was being baptized by thunder and lightning. It makes people shudder just looking at it. They actually want to have a decisive battle on this island? During the battle, you have to avoid the thunder falling from the sky at any time. If you are not careful, you will be struck to death by lightning. Kaido landed on the ground, transformed into a human form again. He said coldly, "Are you ready? Bring it on." Next moment, Ron and Kaido stood up from the ground at the same time and jumped directly into the air. This is thousands of meters in the air. The ground beneath their feet instantly cracked. The battle begins from this moment. There was a loud bang. The reaction force provided by the cracked earth caused the two bodies to fly upwards rapidly. Just a few seconds, he had already jumped to an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. Landed on Ghost Island. Two people stood at opposite ends of the uppermost level of Onigashima. Kaido's eyes were blazing. Conqueror's haki is surrounded by lightning and thunder all over his body. At the same time, he also took out his mace. Ron moved his wrist, looked at Kaido and said, "Let's start." 194. Teacher Guy, stop scraping. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. At this moment Ron has jumped to the Ghost Island. And Marine is still down there. I can't see clearly in this direction at all. Looking up from the bottom, you can only see the bottom of Onigashima. There is no scene of the decisive battle between the two. How could Marine miss such a crucial moment? Every time you watch Ron's battle, it's a visual feast. Whether it's a Marine Admiral, a Marine Marshal, or even a Marine soldier. They all wanted to see Ron fight. After watching this once, you will become addicted. No way. This is what happens when humans face strong people. Every time the strong man takes action, it is shocking. I have watched it once and want to watch it a second time. So, Sengoku ordered immediately. "Fujitora, raise all warships, be sure to raise them higher than the orbit." Fujitora nodded, "I know." The next moment, Tang Hu drew out the knife again and danced in the air. Next moment, all warships lost gravity, began to float into the air. Green Bull said impatiently, "I have long heard that the Inspector General is very powerful, but I have never seen him take action. This time I can open my eyes. I just want to see how powerful it is. Isn't the legend a bit too lazy?" Fujitora said in his tone, "I also want to take a look." Green Ox laughed loudly and said, "It's a pity that you can't see anything. Don't worry, I will repeat it to you." The two guys, Green Bull and Fujitora, came from the same place. Advertisement: they were old acquaintances before they became Marines. "So I speak more casually," Sengoku said with a smile. "Actually, the rumors are not exaggerated at all, and they are probably not described enough. When you see Ron take action with your own eyes, you will understand what I am saying." Green Bull said incredulously, "Really? In this case, I am even more curious. How strong a human can be has always been the answer I am looking for. My goal is to become stronger, but I found that humans have limits. When our strength reaches our level, it will not be easy if we want to continue to become stronger." "Is this Inspector General really that exaggerated?" Kizaru nodded and said, "It's more exaggerated than you think. I can guarantee this." As an admiral who has been beaten by Ron many times, Kizaru is the most qualified to speak on this matter. "Ha ha ha, I'm so curious. Green Bull can't wait now." Zephyr is also one of the most impatient people, and he has never seen Ron take action. "So I am quite curious. Ever since he boarded Marine's ship, everyone had been telling him that Ron was awesome. Everyone was telling him about Ron's exaggerated achievements." Zephyr sounded confused, because the information he learned from Marine was even more exaggerated than what he read in the newspapers. So, these days of sailing are constantly arousing Zephyr's curiosity. He also wanted to see it very much. How powerful is this legendary man? Now, as the warship continues to rise, the shadows of the two people gradually emerged on Ghost Island. Saw this scene. Marine was already caught up in the carnival. A total of 70,000 people stood on the warship and cheered Ron on. The sound resounded throughout heaven and earth. "Master Inspector General, come on." The Kaido pirates, who were on their home field like this, instantly lost their temper. He was actually overshadowed by the other party. Quinn immediately ordered, "Advertisement. Everyone, cheer for me. Cheer for Boss Kaido. Don't let the opponent overwhelm you. Boss Kaido, the strongest in single combat. Boss Kaido, the strongest in single combat. Boss Kaido, the strongest in single combat." I have to say that the Kaido pirates actually expressed the feeling that the Shinsho old monster has boundless power. The two sides haven't started fighting yet. But the cheerleaders from both sides started to compete with each other. One shouted louder than the other. This not only made Ron and Kaido, who were in the center of the battle, extremely embarrassed. "Shut up. Stop shouting," Ron said helplessly. Such a trivial matter made them feel like it was a life and death battle. Ron doesn't even need support from others to play Kaido. Being yelled at by Ron, all the Marines shut their mouths. "Don't dare to speak anymore, now," Ron said calmly. "Let's fight it quickly, it's too noisy," Kaido snorted coldly. "Bald brat. If we lose the battle soon, don't ask your admirals to come over and help." Ron smiled. "If you can beat me, none of them will be your opponent." "Haha, arrogant," Kaido suddenly said. He immediately entered a fighting state. Transformed into a green dragon. Circled directly up. Looking down at Ron. Then he opened his mouth suddenly. A fiery energy gathered in the mouth. Waves of heat spread. Subsequently, advertisement Kaido blew hot breath out of his mouth. The blazing fire light illuminated half of the sky. The hot breath pierced the air and rushed directly towards Ron at extremely fast speeds. This power seemed to be able to penetrate Ghost Island. Even Marine soldiers far away can feel the heat wave hitting their faces. But Ron still stood there, not hiding, when hot breeze rushed in front of Ron. Ron just raised a fist lightly. Then he waved lightly to the side, just like swatting away a fly. Bounced the hot breath directly. This extremely overbearing shockwave was abruptly changed in direction. There was a roar. The hot breath directly hit a hill in Wano below. Suddenly the entire mountain was moved to the ground. The whole Wano shook a few times. Countless people who saw this scene couldn't help but hold their breath. Windblade. Kaido failed to hit a single blow and immediately released a large number of windblades at the same angle. The air suddenly became turbulent. Countless windblades shoot out from Kaido's mouth, destroying all obstacles along the way. Come straight to Ron. However, Ron's expression was already a little impatient at this moment. A sudden wave of his hand. All the windblades disintegrated directly in the air. Ron's expression changed and he said in a cold tone. "Kaido, are you playing house? If you only have this ability, then you are not worthy of letting me take action." See, the members of the Kaido pirates were immediately angry when they heard this. What? This bald guy is too crazy. Boss Kaido's attack just now was so powerful, he actually said he was playing house. I can see that he is having a hard time blocking it. This guy must be talking harshly. Let Boss Kaido use his full strength. Can you bear it, boss? 195. Thunder 8 trigrams hit the bald head, and the title of the strongest creature has expired. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, as expected of the Inspector General. Haha, this attitude is too belittling the Inspector General, isn't it? Although his attack is very powerful, compared to Whitebeard who died in the hands of the Inspector General, as well as the red-haired Shanks, Charlotte Linlin and others, the attack just now is really not up to the level of 4 emperors. Yes, that's right. The attack just now was really embarrassing. Of course our Inspector General will not take such a painless attack seriously. It's not even enough to tickle Mr. Superintendent. Is this Kaido good or not? He is still known as the strongest in single combat. I think this title has a lot of merit. That's right, these 2 attacks look quite intimidating, but they won't cause any harm to our supervisor at all. To be honest, I'm a little disappointed. Same as above, I'm a little disappointed too. I thought how powerful it would be to challenge the strongest creature alone. Yes, the strongest creature in the sea, land and air is only at this level, it's really not that good. After all, these Marines are well-informed people. They have seen 3 and 4 thick men take action. And they all did with all their strength, so, although they have never played against 4 emperors. But they have never eaten pork, but they have seen pigs running away. Saw so many 4 emperors and Ron fighting, so the eyesight is naturally there. At that moment, Marine began to whisper and point at Kaido below. Started commenting. There are all kinds of disgusted looks, and one even wonders if Kaido, the most powerful creature, was paid for his name? It's in their minds after all. It's already at the level 4 emperors should be. Kaido's attack just now obviously didn't reach this level. It's a lot different from Whitebeard, Redhead, and Charlotte Durian. First heard the Marine soldier say this. Kaido almost died of anger. When did these little shrimps from Marine become qualified to evaluate 4 emperors? Are you kidding me? What qualifications do they have to evaluate the 4 emperors? He even pointed out Laozi's battle. Who do they think they are? As a top maritime combat force, I have never been insulted like this. Brother guy never thought that one day his battle would be criticized by Marine soldiers. Advertisement being judged by them, he even had a look of disgust. This really made Kaido very angry. This feeling is so speechless. The big signboard under Kaido was even more angry. Quinn and Jin heard the Marine soldiers say this about their boss. Almost going crazy. These guys who don't know the heights of heaven and earth dare to comment on Boss Kaido's battle. Do they understand what a battle between masters is? They know nothing. Quinn's nose was filled with smoke. They talk like they've seen a lot of battles. It really pisses me off. You stinky shrimps in Marine, shut your mouths now. Quinn directly chose to scold Marine. However, these soldiers were even more unwilling. We have seen more high-level battles than you have eaten. How many times have you seen the life and death battle between the 4 emperors? We have seen it 3 times. The Marine soldiers were not used to these pirates at all. Start scolding immediately. Have to say, the current generation of Marine soldiers are really tough. Don't be afraid of anyone you see. This is really a very scary thing. This reflects the spirit of an army. Quinn and others were speechless and told the truth. They have really never seen the scene of the 4 emperors fighting desperately. Most of the battles are cursory. There are no points to win or lose. Most of the battles between the 4 emperors are like this. It's a point and shoot, rarely a life and death battle. So insight in this area, they are really not as good as Marine. Quinn, who was very arrogant just now, was directly questioned. And at this moment, Kaido also gradually transformed from the blue dragon in the sky into a human form. It fell to the ground again. Advertisement. His expression was very bad at the moment. Being pointed at by so many Marine soldiers who usually looked down upon him. He even said that he bought the title of the strongest duel. What a disgrace. Kaido felt that his face had been frustrated. Naturally, he was very unhappy. Now, the look he looked at Ron became even more angry. He could also feel that although his attack just now was not the strongest, it did great damage. I didn't expect the bald head to bounce away so easily. At the moment, Kaido doesn't intend to hold back anymore. After all, he doesn't want to be pointed out anymore. Bald brat. Kaido shouted loudly, the whole body deformed again. Transformed into a half-animal, half-human state. This is Zone Devil Fruit's strongest state. Then he took out his mace, armament hockey directly wound up. The mace suddenly turned into pitch black. This is not over yet. Kaido directly wrapped Conqueror's hockey around the mace. Suddenly, red lightning flashed like a dragon, swimming in front of the mace. Kaido looked up suddenly. Changed from holding the stick with one hand to using both hands. His eyes are as bright as a torch, staring in Ron's direction. He kicked his feet suddenly hard. The ground cracked. The whole body came rushing forward. The speed was very fast, and an afterimage streaked through the air. Thunder 8 trigrams. A loud shout carried through the sky, causing thunder to fall from the sky. Advertisement. Wrapped around the mace. A thick arc of electricity fell from the clouds and connected to Kaido. Kaido's eyes were filled with the power of lightning, and there was a faint sound of thunder and lightning exploding in them. Kaido appeared in front of Ron in the blink of an eye. This sight undoubtedly made all Marines take a breath. Through many experiences, they can feel it. This time Kaido finally used his full strength. And at the same time, Quinn, Jin and other members of the Kaido pirates couldn't help but sneer. HMPH, don't you want to see Kaido-sama's full strength? You asked for this? The bald man was so scared that he didn't dare to move, or he didn't even react at all. At this time, Kaido has arrived in front of Ron. Holding the mace in both hands, he suddenly drew back and struck. The huge force carried the two-color hockey, and the whole air was torn, making a whining sound. Ron still stood there without moving. This time was actually different from the previous 2 attacks. Ron didn't even use his hands to defend himself. Kaido sneered. He didn't hold back at all against Ron's arrogant behavior. Instead, he became a little more experienced. Bang! The mace hit Ron directly on the head. The huge roar turned into circles of sound waves and impacted all around. Both Marines and pirates couldn't help but cover their ears at this moment. It's hard to imagine that this was the sound of a mace being hit on the head. In an instant, under the feet of the 2 of them, the ground cracked. Debris flew everywhere. A ravine, thousands of miles across, directly divided Ghost Island into 2. The entire island is so powerful in midair. Not only that, hockey also directly tore the sky apart. The whole sky was filled with dark clouds, and it was divided into 2 at this moment. This move, it's truly earth-shattering. With the blessing of lightning and two-color hockey, unprecedented destruction was caused. 196. The mace was bent, but Ron didn't even scratch his skin. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. A huge shockwave swept around. It's impossible to open your eyes. This move is really too powerful. Kaido didn't hold anything back at all and hit Ron with all his might. Kizaru covered his eyes with his hands, pouted, tilted his head and said, "Hey, that's scary. Kaido's strength has improved again. I don't know how the Inspector General is doing. Just now I saw this stick hit the Inspector General on the head." Akainu snorted coldly and said, "If the Inspector General hears you say the word, terrible, here again, you will probably get beaten again." Kizaru immediately closed his mouth when he heard this. Akainu is not an alarmist. Kizaru got beaten a lot because of these 3 words. So he doesn't dare to say it now. 187. Zephyr also said with some worry. It's such a strong attack. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. Hey. Zephyr sighed, although he joined Marine at the same time as Garp and Sengoku. But on a talent level. In fact, Zephyr is not as good as Garp and Sengoku. Much worse than the 2 of them. Even in his heyday, he couldn't be Kaido's opponent. So see Kaido's attack at this moment, he couldn't help but take a breath. He was really shocked by Kaido's attack, it's just too strong. What worries him the most is that Ron actually stood still in bed when facing such a strong attack. Advertisement, I just saw it with my own eyes. Kaido's mace hit Ron on the head. But this huge impact kicked up sand and dust, instantly covering the entire battlefield. No one could see clearly what was going on inside. This is why Zephyr is so worried. If he was asked to comment, he thought Ron was dragging his feet this time. In layman's terms, it's a bit overconfident. The correct way to face such a strong attack is to avoid it. No matter how difficult it is, we must confront it head on. How could you just stand there and let others attack you? What on earth was he thinking? Is this guy really as strong as the legend says? But it doesn't look like it. Why does it feel like he has no combat experience at all? Zephyr was confused. I had some doubts about Ron's strength. Because the battles between masters are back and forth. Ron was beaten unilaterally. You don't look like a master no matter how you look at it. Zephyr really can't understand why everyone praises Ron's strength so much. But this home and the battle are not entertaining at all. There are no tricks to it either, just standing there and getting beaten. How can you tell that he is very strong? Isn't Marine exaggerating? Haha, this bald man doesn't hide. Let him show off, and he will pay the price for his show off. No one can catch the stick of our Kaido boss. This bald man is definitely doomed. I can't bear to look at the picture. The scene must be very bloody, and the bald head may be blown off. This bald man didn't think that Boss Kaido's attack was the same as the previous 2, so he didn't dodge it? Ha ha ha. It turns out that our Boss Kaido's first 2 attacks were to create suspicion. The purpose was to confuse the bald man and make him think he was a yellow man. The attacks were nothing more than that. Advertisement, oh, I understand, and when the bald head had this idea, he immediately switched to the strongest attack. At this time, the bald head thought that this attack was the same as the previous 2, so he just stood here without moving. He never expected that this attack would be the strongest attack. Haha, I have to say that Kaido is too smart, since he can come up with this method. Now, all Kaido High Group members are full of confidence. I couldn't wait to watch Marine eating the turtle. It must feel great to kill their Inspector General in front of all the Marines, right? Wait for a while for the smoke to clear. What kind of expressions will these Marines have? It's exciting just to think about it, but at this moment. A strong wind blew by. The sky is full of smoke and dust, scattered by the wind. Everything previously obscured by the smoke suddenly became visible. However, this scene. Let everyone see it without being able to pocket it. The figures of the 2 gradually appeared. Veins popped out in Kaido's arms as he held the mace. This was exactly how he attacked Ron, and the mace hit Ron on the head. But the scene that the pirate hoped to see did not appear. There was no such thing as a brain explosion or a bald head being beaten to death. What makes these pirates incredible is that the extremely hard mace is forced into a curve at this moment. At the point where it touched Ron's head, there was a weird distortion. All the pirates' eyes widened in disbelief. Unable to accept the reality in front of me, not only is this bald man not dead. Advertisement instead, he bent the mace, and the bald head is still shining in the sun, and the entire surface is extremely smooth. Not even a scratch appeared. Senseless. All the pirates were confused. How on earth is this done? Impossible. The human head cannot be that hard. Even if you use hockey to defend yourself, you won't be injured at all. The scariest thing is that there isn't even a scratch. How is this possible? That was a full blow from Boss Kaido. These pirates wanted to see Marine's jokes and watch Marine's surprised and frightened expression when he saw Ron's head being blown open. But I never thought of 4.0, now it was they who were surprised and frightened. All the pirates stared blankly in Ron's direction with their eyes widened and their mouths open. Now, all Marines were in an uproar. The Inspector General is so handsome. Zephyr was also confused, all the previous doubts no longer existed. Needless to say, he already fully understood Ron's power. This kind of visual impact does not need any fancy words to describe. Only when you see it with your own eyes can you know how powerful it is. Zephyr finally understood, why doesn't this man hide? The 4 Emperors all-out attack, IN was not the only one who didn't avoid it. But he didn't bother to avoid it at all, because this attack couldn't hurt Ron at all. 197. Ordinary? Serious? It's full force. Ron takes full action for the first time. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, as expected of the Inspector General, still as awesome as ever. The Marine soldiers immediately burst into revelry. Although they couldn't see the doorway, they could at least watch the fun. The situation at hand was obvious. As the fourth emperor, Kaido struck with all his strength, not only not damaging a hair of their Inspector General, although their Inspector General had no hair, he even bent the weapon mace. Isn't it clear at a glance who is strong and who is weak? This kid scared me and made me worried. It seems that this guy is even stronger than when I fought Whitebeard before. Sengoku couldn't help but take a deep breath. He was really worried just now. After all, during the Summit War, Ron's strength was not what it is now. I didn't expect that after more than a month, Ron's strength would improve so much. This is something that makes Sengoku feel weird. He has no idea when exactly this guy improved, because every day Ron's training time is only a short time in the morning. It's nothing more than rolling iron and exercising some strength. According to his training procedures, it is impossible to become so strong. I really can't figure it out. Judging from Ron's performance today, there is no doubt that he is at least twice as strong as Summit War. Kizaru pursed his lips and touched his chin and said, it's so scary. I didn't expect that the Inspector General's head is so hard. No wonder he has to grow hair. How can the hair grow out of such a hard scalp? Hearing Kizaru's words, Akainu almost stumbled and fell to the ground. Hey, I asked you, can you say something reliable every day? Advertisement, does what you said have anything to do with the current battlefield? Akainu said angrily. I'm just expressing my feelings, Kizaru said nonchalantly. In the center of the battlefield. At this moment, Kaido's expression changed from arrogant at first, to horror, and then to horror. At this moment, even though he was still standing there holding the mace in both hands, maintaining the posture of attacking Ron, it was actually because his hands had been numbed by shock. Can't move at all. That's why I always maintain this posture. He had used all his strength just now. If he followed the normal process, his strength would be transmitted to the opponent's body. Then directly defeat the opponent. But that blow seemed to have hit an extremely hard steel plate, and all the force bounced back. It was transmitted to Kaido's arm. A huge tremor instantly made Kaido's arms numb. Kaido looked at Ron in horror. The sharp point of his mace has actually become dented. And Ron's head is still as bright as new. This shiny bald head seemed to be a ruthless mockery of himself. Even if it scratches his skin a little bit, that's fine. He shook his head in disbelief. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There's no way my attack won't work. What is going on? What tricks did you use? Ron then moved his neck, then he reached out one hand and grabbed the mace. The palm of the hand was pushed hard. There was a snap. Advertisement: the mace could not withstand the huge force and immediately broke into pieces and scattered on the ground. Kaido was stunned for a moment when he saw this scene. The body subconsciously took 2 steps back. He distanced himself from Ron. This was a completely instinctive reaction. His body was in fear. As the strongest creature, he actually had thoughts of fear at this moment. Ron patted the iron filings on his body. The reason why he didn't fight back just now was because he wanted to test how strong his current physical strength was. Ever since his punch physique reached 60%, I feel like my whole person has undergone a qualitative change. Previously in Summit War, the constitution was only 30%. At that time, I could still withstand the attacks of the 4 emperors. But there will still be some pain. It cannot be completely harmless. But things are different now, although it is only an increase of 30% compared to the previous system. But it's an earth-shaking change. Kaido's attack just now, if we just talk about the attack power. In fact, it's not as bad as Whitebeard. Kaido, this guy's title of being the strongest in one-on-one combat is really not for nothing. But the real deal. But now Ron can stop here and let the opponent attack. The thunderous 8 trigrams just hit Ron's body, but he didn't feel any pain at all. Like a mosquito bite. Now that Ron's experiment has been completed, he now clearly realizes where his defensive bottom line is. So the next thing to verify is, what is your upper limit of attack? Advertisement: Ron has never been here until now. He has never used full power to attack. Even when One Punch Man's constitution was 30% before, Ron never used the 30% limit seriously. But this time, Ron was ready to test his limits. 430. Just use your current 61% boxing physique and punch with all your strength. Not an ordinary punch, nor a serious punch, but a full punch. See what kind of power it has, now that you have made up your mind. Ron suddenly looked up at Kaido. This intelligent look instantly made the hairs on Kaido's body stand out. The pupils of both eyes dilated rapidly. This is a reaction that occurs after being frightened. Kaido was actually frightened by Ron's eyes. I saw Luo walking towards Kaido step by step. With every step I took, I almost felt like I was one step closer to death. The body retreated involuntarily. What are you doing? Kaido asked subconsciously. Wouldn't it be too stupid to ask such a question at this time? Ron said calmly. Although Ron's tone was very light, it gave people an ultimate sense of oppression. At the same time, Ron looked up at Kaido. Kaido has never seen such a terrifying look. This sense of oppression made Kaido shiver involuntarily. At this moment, only he knew how terrifying the aura that erupted from En's body was. Don't come over. Kaido waved his hands repeatedly, his face ashen. 198. Free Admiral was furious, sharing the same hatred for the first time, and jointly attacked. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. Everyone is watching Kaido's performance. This guy was extremely arrogant just now. I didn't expect that. I was instantly stunned. What exactly is going on? What exactly did he see? Quinn and others were relatively close, so they could clearly see the changes in Boss Kaido. This made them even more confused. After all, they have followed Kaido for many years and know Kaido very well. It can be said that no one knows Kaido better than them. As the four emperors and the strongest creature, Guy Luo could be said to be fearless in his previous life. Even in pursuit of death, he challenged the impossible many times, a man who was not even afraid of death. Why exactly does this expression of fear occur? Why do you keep retreating? What happened? Quinn said in disbelief. Jin, what's wrong with Boss Kaido? Even if his Thunder 8 trigrams doesn't work, it won't be like this. What's going on? Jin also shook his head. I don't know either. Could it be that Boss Kaido has seen the horror that we can't see? This is the first time I've seen Kaido's hometown look like this. Marine also saw this scene. I saw Ron walking forward and Kaido retreating. And Kaido's expression was obviously full of fear. Zephyr was stunned for a moment, and then said, this guy Kaido, is he scared out of his wits? No way. Kizaru said with a crooked mouth. No, this is not surprising. This time I understand Kaido. Advertisement. If and when you face the Inspector General, you'll understand. Kizaru came to give an explanation. After all, on Marine's side, only he and Garp understood the fear brought about by facing Ron head-on. No one else has felt it. Seeing Ron walking towards him step by step. Kaido's expression became increasingly ugly. Only by truly standing opposite Ron can you feel the oppression brought by this man. It was so suffocating. This feeling makes people unable to breathe. Damn it. Kaido made a prompt decision. Directly transform into a green dragon and soar in the sky. The giant thing soared into the sky. There were strong winds, thunder clouds spread all over the place, and there were flashes of thunder. The blue dragon steps on the dark clouds, looking down at the earth. At the same time, Kaido directly detonated all the explosives on Guizi Island. The reason why he attracted Ron here to fight. I just thought that if the duel failed, I would use the explosives here to blow up Ron. Kaido has never been an above-board person. These Yin-Yin's ruthless methods. He has used many of them. At this moment, Kaido has transformed into a dragon and left Ghost Island. Boom. This time Kaido was extremely decisive. Without hesitation, he directly detonated Ghost Island. Who knows, there are only a lot more explosives buried there than Wano-kuni. And it is not a multi-point distributed detonation like Wano-kuni. Advertisement on Ghost Island, all the bombs are concentrated in one place and detonated. All the bombs exploded simultaneously. The power and destructive power produced is much stronger than explosions one after another. Suddenly the ghost flying in midair suddenly exploded. The huge fire swallowed up half of the sky in an instant. The deafening sound made everyone in Shichibukai bleed from their ears. Many people were even knocked unconscious. The fire of the explosion was like the sun in midair. The huge ghost island was blown into powder. Kaido hovered in the air. Looking coldly at the center of the explosion. That's exactly where Ron stood. He deliberately let Ron stand there just now, just to put him at the center of the explosion. Looking at the bald head engulfed by the firelight and impact, Kaido couldn't help but sneer. Ha ha ha, I don't believe you can still be alive like this. There's no way anyone could survive in this kind of environment. You are still too naive and too young. You never thought in your wildest dreams that I would plant so many bombs in my base camp. The green dragon looks up to the sky and roars. None of the Marines even reacted. The explosion came too suddenly and too fast. Onigashima, which was fine just now, turned into a huge fireball. The shock wave generated by the explosion just now. Even their warship was blown over in the air. If Tenghu hadn't managed to hold on steady, they would probably just fall from the sky, after finally stabilizing his body shape. Only then did everyone look again, towards the center of the explosion. Damn Kaido. He not only planted a lot of explosives in Wano-kuni, but he also planted so many explosives in his base camp, Onigashima. Advertisement, is he crazy? Isn't he afraid of sleeping on top of an explosives depot all day long? Sengoku said through gritted teeth. Who would have thought that Kaido would still have the backup to resort to such despicable means? No one could have imagined that he could plant so many bombs in his hometown. So when Ron landed on Onigashima, Sengoku and others didn't think much about it. After all, this is Kaido's hometown. Who in the right mind would put so many bombs in his hometown? If this power is accidentally detonated, Kaido and everyone in the pirate group will be reduced to ashes. What on earth was he thinking? Zephyr suddenly changed his expression. Said hurriedly, "It's bad, I can't feel the Inspector General's breath anymore." What? Hearing Zephyr say this, all Marines were in an uproar. Impossible, the Inspector General will be fine. Good no. Damn it, Kaido is so despicable, Akainu snorted coldly. He jumped directly from the warship and used moonwalk to step on the sky. What are you going to do? Sengoku shouted. Akainu said coldly, I'm going to kill this bastard Kaido. Take me with you. Aokiji also jumped off the warship, and an icicle instantly rose from beneath his feet, dragging Aokiji's body upwards at a rapid speed. Wait a minute, old man. Kizaru turned into a stream of light and immediately chased after him. Because they couldn't detect Ron's aura, I thought Ron had been killed. After getting along for such a long time, although Ron was usually very strict with them. But we have feelings after being together for such a long time. They can't watch their colleague, the despicable Kaido, fall out of business. 199. Teamfight with Marine? The Mantis blocks the car, Admiral Flash Sail big board. Previous chapter next chapter advertisement, haha, great, let's blow up this terrifying bald head to death this time. This bald man turned us pirates upside down, and this time he was finally killed by our boss. The pirates can finally be free again. The Beast's pirates are in a state of revelry. This is really very satisfying. I have to say that everyone is very excited and happy now. Being able to see this hateful bald man die in Kaido's hands with his own eyes really gave the pirates a sigh of relief. Ever since this bald man appeared, the entire pirate world has been turned upside down. Countless pirates were killed by this bald man. How many world-famous pirates all died in the hands of this man? Including the former 4 emperors, including countless outstanding and potential supernovae. They were all killed by this bald head. So, although in Marine, the bald man is the hero praised by everyone. But among them pirates, the bald man is a street rat that everyone calls for beating. Their hatred for bald heads has reached an all-out level. Everyone wants to kill this bald guy, but they don't have this strength. But at this moment, they saw the bald head being blown up in front of them. This feeling is so good, a feeling of revenge. All the 730 pirates couldn't help but cheer now. Especially the 2 big billboards. For Jin and Quinn, the feelings in their hearts are more complicated. Because this can be regarded as revenge for Jack. Although Jack is a reckless man, he is still one of their big posters. And this guy also died in Ron's hands, and there was never a chance to avenge him. But now, they can avenge Jack with their own hands. But just when the pirate was happy, sudden advertisement. Quinn and Jin suddenly looked up, saw 3 admirals rising into the sky. He actually ran straight towards them. Damn Marine. Jin directly switched to flight form, and the huge pterosaur body rose into the sky. Quinn also took out his weapon and aimed at the 3 admirals flying in the air. Damn it. You guys, Marines, can't afford it. You just agreed to fight one-on-one, but after seeing you lose, you want to attack as a group, right? I never thought you Marines could be such shameless people. If you can't beat me, why don't you join us together? How shameless. You want to attack our Kaido boss? What a beautiful idea. Have you forgotten that we too, BFCD, exist? How can we let you pass? Quinn and Jin suddenly roared. As Kaido Taru's big sign, they certainly couldn't let Marine rush over like this. It must be stopped. This is the dignity of being a big sign. Now, talking more is of course useless. The 2 big bosses immediately launched an interceptive attack on the 3 admirals. The 2 were extremely fast. Quinn's attack reached the 3 admirals first. At this moment, Marine 3 Admiral was furious. They thought Ron was killed by Kaido, so now they are furious and want to avenge Ron. And at this time, suddenly, they discovered that the big signboard with no eyesight actually dared to intercept them. At this moment, Marine 3 Admiral certainly would not coddle them. He was immediately aroused to anger, laughing to death. Akainu shouted loudly, then flew his body in midair and suddenly punched downwards. The fist turned into a huge lava and smashed down directly. All of Quinn's guns and shells were knocked back in an instant. Advertisement. There was a bang. The lava hit the ground directly. A huge wave of fire was set off, and the blazing temperature turned the surrounding area into a sea of fire. Countless pirates who were unable to dodge were instantly burnt to death. Suddenly there was a scream, and at the same time, Jin spread his wings, and she had already arrived in front of the 3 major figures. He alone blocked 3 admirals. I'm not in the mood to waste time with you right now. Get away. Kizaru shouted and turned into a stream of light, arriving in front of Jin in an instant. But Jin is a big sign after all, and his reaction speed is also extremely fast. Plus a special race bonus. This allowed him to predict Kizaru's attack in advance, so he flew up and kicked Kizaru directly. At this moment, Kizaru also gathered his strength and kicked back the anchor. At a speed invisible to the naked eye, it collided with Jin's leg. The two legs collided directly in midair, bang. Jin only felt a huge pain coming from his legs. Because of his special race, as long as his body is lit with flames, he is basically invulnerable. But I never expected it. Just listen to a swish sound. Jin was directly volleyed by Kizaru's kick, and his body flew out like a cannonball and was kicked to the ground. There was a bang. The ground shattered directly. Jin stood up from the ground with difficulty, and then suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The mask on his face also shattered at the same time. I'm in a bad mood right now, don't block the way. Kizaru frowned, looked at Jin underground with his eyes slightly lowered, and said in a cold voice. This is the first time Kizaru has put on such a chilling expression. Hateful. Advertisement, you can't even get close to Kaido-sama. Everyone listen to the order and come to me, kill the three of them down. Jin rose into the sky again and immediately issued an order. Suddenly, all members of the Kaido pirates were activated. They all raised their guns and various weapons and shot into the air. Ah, what a headache. Akainu frowned and shouted. Then he suddenly punched the sky, meteor volcano. In an instant, countless lava boulders suddenly fell from the sky. Indiscriminate bombing of the entire ground. Anyway, the people on the ground are all pirates. It doesn't take much into account at all. Admiral Akainu's full output is beyond what these ordinary pirates can resist. In just a few blinks, the place below turned into a sea of fire. Kizaru frowned as he looked at Jin, who rushed up again. Then the whole body turned into a stream of light, shuttled straight through, turned into an arrow in midair and pierced Jin. Jin also used all his strength, and the flames on his body burned brightly. All gathered in the mouth. The entire pointed mouth suddenly stretched out, as if it were an awl that could pierce through anything. Facing the aurora arrow falling from the sky, a swish sound. They touched each other directly. A strong dazzling light suddenly erupted, and the next moment, Kizaru landed on the ground and turned into a human form. Jin continued to fly into the air for a while due to inertia, and then there was a splash of blood. Jin's wings lost their strength. Like a bird shot by a gun, it fell to the ground in a free fall from the air. Jin was killed by Kizaru. 200. Aokiji Fruit Awakening Skill, 1-7, instant kill. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. When Quinn saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. He knows Jin's race very well. We also know how resistant this race is to beatings. This race is simply born to fight. But he never expected that Kizaru would kill him as soon as they met. Since when did Marine Admiral become so powerful? Especially this Kizaru, I have never seen him so powerful before. Quinn looked confused. I really can't figure out what's going on. But now the situation is very unfavorable for them. These admirals are determined to go up and F*K Kaido the boss. This is absolutely not allowed. I thought that with the numerical advantage, first could stop Marine 3 Admiral. But I never expected that the combat effectiveness of these 3 admirals was so high, and the sea of people in front of them was no different than numbers. A few rounds down, the Givers of Beasts pirates are all almost dead. Moreover, Jin, the leader of the 3 disasters and actually the strongest, was also killed. Only one high-level combat power is left, as well as the 6 Lincoln disciples. Now it is somewhat impossible to stop the 3 admirals. However, if you can delay it for a little longer, just delay it. Sir Lincoln, I know you all have different thoughts, but now we are grasshoppers tied to the same rope. If you want to live, live together, and if you want to die, die together. It's impossible for you to live alone. Marine will never let you leave here. You will be killed by Marine no matter what, so fight seriously now. Only if we work together can we hope to win. This is your only chance to survive. Quinn knew very well what Lincoln Luji was thinking, so he went straight to the point. At this moment, Lincoln Luji, seeing this scene, had already begun to want to escape for his life. But hearing Quinn finish these words, they all stopped because they knew what Quinn said made sense. It is simply impossible to leave here at this time. Marine won't let them go, so everyone put away the idea of escape. At this time, they could only advance and retreat with Quinn. Advertisement helped Master Kaido win so that they can have a chance to survive. When they thought of this, several people immediately stood next to Quinn. There is no need to say any unnecessary words. Now we need everyone to unite and deal with the 3 admirals together. Seeing these people standing in the square, they just stood in front of the 3 admirals. The 3 people couldn't help but frown. Get out of the way. Akainu was in a bad mood now because he didn't know Ron's life or death, and he couldn't wait to confirm it. There is no time to fight with these Xiao Xiao. Stop dreaming, I can't let you pass. Quinn said coldly. Leave them to me. Go up and catch Kaido first. Aokiji moved his body and said, good. Akainu nodded. He doesn't quite believe in Aokiji's strength. Aokiji will have no problem dealing with these guys alone. Then, Akainu and Kizaru jumped up from the ground at the same time and rushed high into the air. Everyone, stop. The 6 Lincoln disciples simultaneously transformed into human animal forms, using their powerful jumping power to jump up suddenly. Heading towards the air interception. Hey, your opponent is me. Aokiji exhaled a breath of cold air, then a wall of ice rose directly from the ground and shot through the sky at a speed of dozens of feet per second. Erect an ice wall directly across the entire space. Stopped between Akainu Kizaru and Ling Kong Luji. Stopped the 6 Lin Kong disciples. Ling Luji couldn't break in time and hit the ice wall directly. Bang! With the powerful bodies of the 6 of them, she was unable to break the wall of ice and water. Aokiji, are you working so hard now? Quinn frowned and said, what's going on with each of you Marines? You're so different from before. Why are everyone working so hard? Isn't it bad to be like before? Quinn finally asked her question. Advertisement. Aokiji shook his head and said coldly. Stop talking nonsense and get started quickly. I'm still in a hurry. I don't have time to play with you guys here. Damn. You don't take us seriously. There are only 7 of us here. Are you too arrogant? Quinn frowned and blew out a smoke ring. 7 and 1, there is no difference. It's just a rabble. As soon as Aokiji finished speaking. No more grinding. Starting from your feet, the glacier spurts out. The ice age is coming. The entire earth was swallowed up in an instant. Everything around him was frozen. Quinn and Lincoln Luji immediately dodged and jumped up at the critical moment. Not frozen. Your attack can't hurt us. As long as we're not frozen by you, you won't be able to attack us. I'm right. Quinn sneered. Then he and Lincoln Luji landed on the ice again. At this moment the entire land is covered with glaciers. Aokiji smiled, because this attack is not to freeze you. Actually, its real function is, create my domain. Don't you realize that all your footholds are now glaciers? Asterisk asterisk. Quinn laughed, so what? Don't think I don't know your abilities. You can only be frozen once, you can't make the ice that has already formed a glacier come alive again. That means it's completely safe for me to step on your frozen ground now. The 4 Emperors group has long been studying the skills of the 3 Admirals. After all, among pirates, intelligence is actually very important, as it can determine the outcome of a battle. It seems that your information is not entirely correct. As soon as Aokiji finished speaking, the whole person actually blended directly into the ice. Aokiji disappeared. Quinn's expression changed. Advertisement. I looked around and even scanned with observation hockey, but I didn't find Aokiji's whereabouts. No, it's not that I didn't find Aokiji's whereabouts, but there were Aokiji all around. Where has this guy gone? How could it be possible that everything around him was filled with his aura? After all, Quinn is a big poster and a scientist, so he is naturally very smart. I figured it out in an instant. It's ice. It's integrated into the ice. No, get out of this glacier quickly, Quinn immediately ordered, but it was too late. The surrounding glaciers are just too big. No matter how fast they move, they can't leave immediately. Of course Quinn knew this fact, so he immediately added. Everyone spread out in different directions, try to stay as far away from the ice as possible, hurry up. The other 6 Lincoln disciples didn't care either, no matter why Quinn said so. All scattered in all directions, but now it's too late. There are still glaciers under their feet. This is Aokiji's awakening skill, integrating himself into the ice. Become one with ice. As long as the glaciers are connected, he can control them at will. It's as easy as taking control of your own body. Although these 7 people were running in different directions at this moment. 7 giant frost hands suddenly stretched out from the glacier. He violently grabbed these 7 people. And in the first round of attacks, 3 of them were caught directly, and they were frozen into icicles the moment they were caught. Although several other people dodged the first attack. But no matter where you escape, the glacier under your feet will immediately stretch out various shapes to attack. And the frequency is getting higher and faster, and the speed is getting faster and faster. Then the entire glacier rolled towards the middle like a burrito. The thick glacier is like soft bun skin at this moment. In an instant, all the remaining people were included. Quinn and Lincoln 6 were all subdued. Aokiji beats 7 and crushes them. Combat time, 30 seconds with